Heck.
So what were we talking about? Nothing, because I was late. Sorry about that.
You better be.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
No.
I forgive you. It's all right.
Thanks,
I
Sean.
We're on the path to recovery.
Anytime.
A reconciliation.
Reconciliation. We're drinking
Why not?
water and alcohol-free beer as usual.
Yep.
How was your day so far?
What did I get up to? Oh, it was really good. I went to Kamei Botany Bay National Park. Do you know where that is?
No.
So it's Cornell. So there's two parts.
I know where Cornell is. Yes.
Yeah, there's two. Well, there's two parts to it. There's Kamei Botany Bay, and you've got the La Perouse side, which is on your guys' side.
Okay.
And then you've got Cornell.
Cornell,
which is across the way.
Supposed to be like very.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's where Captain Cook landed.
Oh,
Interesting. They've got a beautiful monument there. I don't know if it's exactly where he did land. It'd be really interesting to find if that's where he did land. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful spot. Beautiful spot. They share a lot of information about the Aboriginal cultures. One of the most interesting things there is an Aboriginal landscape. Soundscape, sorry. It's called a soundscape. So you walk in, okay. You walk in, they've got like this little circular monument where it's got information on the people that were there. So Australians, the convicts that were brought over, the Aboriginal culture. It's beautiful as you keep walking through, you follow the track, and it says you're about to enter like an Aboriginal soundscape. And you just hear these noises, you just immerse with these noises, and it sounds like you're actually stepping into the past. It's plenty of flora. They've got, you hear like Aboriginal sticks like tapping together. Right, and you hear like it's almost like chanting, so it must be like a ceremonial dance is about to start or is commencing. Beautiful as, and then you can hear the next little part as you're going away. You can hear that sound kind of fade off, and then you walk in to the next little section, and it's like it's a storytelling, a sound event.
So it's like an event, like an organized sort of.
But it's on all the time.
Oh,
it's on. It must be on replay. I went there. I've been there at different times during the day. I've done it like a few times. And you walk in and it's always on. It's always on. It's beautiful. Yeah.
I should go.
Why not?
What brought you there today?
Time. I had a bit of free time, so I thought, you know what, stuff it. Why not?
What do you think about time? What is time for you?
Ooh, jeez, that's we're in the deep end.
You walked straight in.
I think it's something that we all take for granted. I know it sounds like a very cliche answer, but and as it is a cliche answer, we still don't appreciate it, because at the moment you hang out with somebody, you think about it. Doesn't matter. You could spend time. You can't buy time. You can free up labor by maybe doing whatever, right? But you can't get it back if your time's finite.
Absolutely.
Would you live forever if you could?
This is interesting. There are a lot of theories about like potential future possibilities of extending human life beyond natural constraints, either transferring your consciousness into machines or like, cryo preserving your brain. There's many.
Would you?
I think it depends. Probably not, but I cannot be sure because I would need to ask so many questions.
Yeah.
About how. What would you?
I would have if you asked me like maybe a year ago, and then I just started thinking about it. I go, do you know what? I think I appreciate time more. This is because of a lot of other events that have happened in my life that made me really appreciate time. I don't know if I'd do it. I don't know if I could live forever. If you gave me the option and said, hey man, you can live forever, like obviously pending that the Earth's going to live forever and the human race is going to continue,
that's
would you?
Unlikely.
Yeah. But even if like I don't know if I would. I think it's very enjoyable in this finite time, within this finite time.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And I had a big, like not an argument, but a heated discussion with a friend about transferring your consciousness into a machine, so to speak. And I'm like, is that even you anymore?
Probably not.
It's not.
But it doesn't exist yet.
But still, then we kept on arguing about it, and I said to him, he goes, as I said, mate, if your brain's dead, let's just say there is life after death, okay?
Okay. In what sense?
In what sense? As in the sense of your consciousness as it is now.
Yes.
Dissipates into what's the heavens. whatever your
Okay.
religious belief is. Okay.
Okay, so like from
Yeah.
a religious,
A religious
point of view.
perspective. Okay. So then, what does that mean if somehow we've managed to transfer that consciousness into a computer, into some sort of mechanical state or whatever state, maybe even a biomech state, right? It is you waking up, but it's not you.
Well,
It's you. But yeah, it's you as you could tend to know yourself as everybody knows you. But is it you? And then his argument was, to quell mine, was it's the same as you going to sleep. When you go to sleep, because that's the same thing. I said, if you die, mate, you're dead. Like, that's it. Your consciousness should be gone, right? And he goes, same thing when you go to sleep. Like, okay, you dream in that, but ever had any of your teeth taken out when you were a kid?
yeah.
I had my teeth taken out. My teeth went rotten. My mum gave me...
Oh, no, I haven't.
You know? My mum gave me a cordial when I was younger. So, you know what cordial is, hey?
No, what's that?
So it's something you mix with water. It's like a... what do we call it? What's another word for it?
It's like
Chan?
sugar syrup drink
Yeah.
with fruit flavor.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So you mix that with water and you've got yourself like a sweet drink. I was on milk at the time. My mum gave me that. Right. My teeth. I would not go back to milk. My teeth were rotten. Gone. But I remember. So, anyways, they put me under. Crazy experience for me as a kid. And I woke up, mate. I was like, I didn't even know who I was, man. I woke up and I was like, I just woke up going, what just happened? Because it was completely different to falling asleep. It's not like I fell asleep. I've never fallen asleep when I was a kid and gone, shit, I don't know who I am. I don't know what's going on. But that's what happened when I got put under anesthesia. Right? So maybe
Okay.
it's the same thing. Maybe your consciousness wakes up in this computer and it's like, wait, who am I? Even though I'm actually gone.
Well, there are a few things we could talk about in those regards.
Yeah.
For is the mic on?
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
lost my voice for a moment.
Yeah.
I think for once, it's easy. It's safe to assume that we're not ourselves every moment that goes by, because our cells, all the cells of our body keep regenerating. So like you're physically not the same person that you were
5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
yeah,
however
at some
long it takes.
percentage.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. But in
Yeah.
another way, if you think about transferring your consciousness into a machine, it
Mhm.
means that your self becomes digital,
Mhm.
which means that it can be copied.
Yeah.
So if you make a copy of yourself and you have two you, which
Yeah.
one is you? And
Yeah.
there's like the unicity paradox or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. I've never
Uh,
heard this paradox.
Yeah, it's about like when we reach the point when we're gonna be able to transfer our consciousness into machines and into data, basically,
Mm.
while we're still alive. Which one is us?
That's you know what, I've never thought of it like that. It's almost like you should call it like a twins paradox, like an identical twins paradox. 'Cause
Sort of.
that's what oh geez, what was it called? The genetic test done by the Nazis. What was that called? The eugenics programs.
Oh, what's that about?
You've
Can
never-
you give me more volume on my headphones, please?
You've never heard the eugenics program? It's absolutely horrible.
What's that
So
about?
so what it was
Thanks.
one of the some of the Nazi guys, right? What they did was the biggest control in a scientific experiment in people is their bio makeup. Everybody's different. Everybody's exposed to different things. So the best people to test that on is twins, identical twins, because technically they're identically or genetically the same, as close as we can get.
Okay.
You ever heard? So they've done a lot of tests on these poor buggers, mate. It was obviously super horrible. It's part of the Holocaust, right? A lot of information was derived from that. You're not allowed to take information from war, even though it was medical information. So they say. I doubt the Americans would have thrown that away. Just gone, mate. This is valuable stuff. But anyways, like you're saying, it's almost like the twins paradox. If you create your subconscious and then give it to something else, as soon as this is why identical twins look different after a while. They're exposed to different stimulus and how they perceive that stimulus. That's why you said we're constantly evolving. That's why the twins look different, because if they're genetically the same, they should look the same, always. But they don't. They then become changed to obviously hormones. Besides all the hormones, external factors like your social interactions or whatever, they start changing. So same with that. If you put your consciousness into a machine and then this machine is limited to these experiences, I'm going to keep evolving, or it's going to keep evolving, and we're going to diverge at some point.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I got a question. What exactly is you? Is you all of your memories put together, or is you, say, who you are in this present moment at the same time?
Oh, I think
This is
that's
very
Like,
that's
what
simultaneous.
exactly is you, or is you simply the awareness knowing that you are the awareness knowing?
Oh, I like the last one.
Who's asking? It's super
Chan, I am.
Chan.
Okay. Thanks, Chan, for the question.
The third person. In the third person. Yeah. I think it was your last, the latter, the very last option, man. Because you can, there's an actual saying for that. I can't remember. I'm gonna butcher it if I try to say it. I think, therefore I am. Is that the saying?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Sorry to whoever made that. I probably chopped that up. But I think it's just your consciousness.
Cogito ergo sum in Latin.
Oh, nice.
Just
Oh
throwing
gosh.
words in there.
So was that the English translation of what I just said?
Yes.
Oh, so was the original saying in Latin?
Somebody was from, yeah.
Wow, this is a long
I don't
time
want
ago.
to throw names because I'm not sure, but
I dropped Plato. I know Plato. No.
Could be.
Yeah.
Like,
What do you think, Sean? What do you think it is?
that's the thing. I don't know exactly what is me, because me is simultaneously just all these different things at once.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I am all of my memories since I was born, or since I could consciously remember things.
Mm.
But at the same time, like, who I am is always changing.
Mm.
And so moment to moment, who I am is different. But then at the same time, who I am is also this awareness floating in space, floating in earth, just
Yep.
observing what's going on. So I can't really say exactly what I am. I'm Chan, that's a label, but then who exactly am I, like, truly?
we get back into labels.
Oh, labels are interesting. Yeah, no, we can come back to labels if you like. I don't know. I like how you've broken it down, but in that perspective, I can guess you could say Chan is versatile. Because of his memories, he's responding constantly, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? And then
Yep.
and then you want to gauge the response, and then you're like, how is Chan feeling now? And it's like Chan would have handled this differently, but if he was angry, Chan would have thrown this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a good question, mate. Would love to know the answer to that.
We are so many things at the same time. We are so many selves at the same time.
Yes.
I don't know. There is a theory that is like not Buddhist but ish about identity of the self. Basically, the metaphor I think is like analogy is more like, think of a wave and then what's over the level of the water is us and our lifespan. But once the wave goes down and reconnects with the rest of the water, whatever particle that was part of the wave goes back into the ocean and mixes with the vast majority of the water. So the next wave is going to have
some of us, but
but
not us as we are now.
Yes. So us is nothing.
Yeah.
Us is part of a much bigger thing that we cannot comprehend, because in that very instance when we are able to like be aware, we're actually not aware of everything that is like beneath us.
It's almost like an iceberg.
Sort of like, yeah. So in that sense, consciousness doesn't work well. Like
It doesn't
help us.
Yeah, it doesn't. But the funny thing is like that's what makes me kind of believe in life after death, is how can my consciousness just evaporate into nothing? I don't mind. I can understand the body. I can understand everything else. But it's like all these things in my head. It's so sophisticated in comparison to anything else that I'm aware of, and it just ends. Isn't that?
I don't think it does.
Oh, isn't that weird? Doesn't
Because
bode well with me.
What's the conservation of energy principle sort of thing? Like nothing gets created or destroyed.
Oh,
but
thermodynamics. One of the
yeah,
rules of
yeah, yeah,
thermodynamics.
yeah.
Nothing can be created or destroyed.
But everything sort of
Yeah, it's almost like it's a recycle.
But this is
it's like
about
recycling.
energy, and
Yeah.
since we are a product of energy, like we are basically partially stardust, but mostly energy.
I'm
and
happy you brought up Stardust. yeah,
we can talk about that.
yeah,
But
yes.
since we're energy, technically, we cannot die because in a finite. Well, it depends if the universe is like finite or not, and there are different theories. Like it's expanding, okay,
faster
but
than the speed of light.
yeah, but
But nothing goes past faster than the speed of light, though, except for the observable universe. Have you been looking at this?
not much.
Okay, we'll come back to that as you were. My apologies.
My point is like we transform into something else, but we don't like vanish.
That's right. So it's kind of like lighting a match.
Yeah,
It's like it changes. It's still there, but
Yes.
it's not itself anymore.
yeah. It's ash, it's fire, it's energy, it's temperature, it's whatever.
It's kind of sad, though, isn't it? You know what?
No,
You don't
I
find it
wouldn't say
sad?
So no, I think it's part of life. It's just like a much broader life that we are used to compared to like it. We think about life from the day we're born to the day we die, but
Yeah.
that's actually not the whole story. There was much before and there is going to be much after, but since we don't preserve the consciousness that we have in this moment, for us that doesn't count, but
Yeah.
it kind of does.
Yeah. I see what you
And
mean.
it's nothing spiritual or religious or anything. It's
No.
purely like
Observable, or yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's science. Like
Yeah.
our body becomes like shit that feeds worms, and that's,
yeah.
that's
Part
and
of the
that's how
circle of
our
life,
life continues
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah. My consciousness will be like worm poo somewhere, apparently.
Yeah, but that's totally fine. Like
In saying that, though, if our consciousness must come from basically nothing, is there other forms of consciousness that we're not aware about, do you think? Or higher forms of? Could you imagine if octopus could teach their kids? We'd be in trouble, man.
I mean, animals can pass on knowledge.
Yeah, but see, when an octopus gives birth, have you seen how smart they are?
No,
They,
there's a documentary on Netflix
they
that
my
everyone
octopus teacher. You
everyone
need to
told
watch
me
it.
to watch it, and I haven't.
You
yet.
let yourself down. It is such a good movie. Anyway, it's amazing. They're super smart, mate. Their problem solving skills are amazing. There's something to be reckoned with. They have problems. Aquariums have problems keeping them in. That's how smart they are. But the funny thing is, they're never raised by a parent. They have their eggs, and then I think the female dies when it has its eggs, or the male.
Really?
I can't remember which one. But yeah, they come into the world, and that's it. They're just thrown into the world, and they go, right? They are so smart. Imagine if they were like us, where they had school, they had uni, octopus uni.
Maybe they don't have the ability to learn after they're born. Like all the knowledge that they can gather comes like before.
Yep. Oh,
I mean, you never know.
Oh.
I know.
I've never
shit.
thought of
I
it
don't
like
know,
that.
I don't know about
I've never thought
octopus
of
how
that.
they work.
Or something like well, that's the thing about like I found it hard to believe when people were talking about past traumas. Have you ever heard about this in
Yes.
like the new spiritual scene? They're like, oh, that's your past life traumas. And I'm like,
Ancestral traumas, would you say?
well,
Like passed down from like, say like your parents or so, and then their parents and so on.
yeah. Well, see, when I heard it, it was kind of like they were talking about like, oh, you might have been, when the first time I was exposed to it, I'm probably wrong, but so that let's just say I was a medieval swordsman
Okay.
in the 18th century.
That's super cool.
Yeah, but they were like, oh, you just did something in this life. But it makes more sense to go the way that Chun is talking about, and that's why I genuinely believe in that maybe if they want to talk about past life traumas, ancestral traumas, probably would be passed on. Because at the end of the day, it's a thought pattern. It's just not as tangible as like an evolutionary material like skin color. Because I'm born around the tropics, I'm a little bit brown, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
As if a thought pattern can't be passed down if it's a survival mechanism. Of course a thought pattern can be passed down. Then maybe that's what they were referring to when the first time I heard it. But when I heard about it the first time, Sean, I was like, what do you mean a past life traumas? They're like, oh, in your past life you might have been this, and this, and I'm like, what are you talking about? But it makes sense that maybe let's just say abuse in the home. If it carried on and carried on and carried on, I wouldn't be surprised to see if you would see that the kids react to some sort of reactional stimulus. Let's just say something as rudimentary as raising a hand, and they might instantly flinch.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean? Just something like that. But it's hard to measure that because it's not as tangible as like height and body width. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that like I mean there are two approaches on this. Like when you talk about past lives, one thing is the transmigration of the soul or whatever you want to call it, which I don't really buy. But the other thing is from a genetic standpoint. If you like a traumatic event is something that can affect you to the point that you can pass it on to your kids in a way.
For sure.
Not in a like it doesn't change your DNA.
No.
Some
But it's almost like a learned behavior or a passed on behavior.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
if it is something, maybe let's say a toxic type of behavior, then it is something to be reckoned with. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people that like, I spoke to a lady once. She was saying, she was like, things were brought back from my past when I started doing yoga. I've heard this from a few yogi. I shouldn't say yogis or people that have done yoga.
Is yogi a derogative term?
I don't know. Isn't a yogi the one that practices? Is it a
I'm
practice? Is that the teacher? I don't know.
I do it, and to me, it only means stretching. Like
So people have mixed the meditation in with yoga.
I do both, but I don't like to. Most people combine them, and I get distracted. Like when I'm meditating. When I'm doing yoga, I'm actually just stretching.
Have you done both, Chan, as well, or no?
Yeah, meditate and yoga. I guess from what I know of yoga is a lot of yoga is to free the body of like discomfort, so you're able to meditate and reach higher states through meditation. But it's not to say that you can't reach that state in yoga, because a lot of yoga is to do with the breath.
Yes.
And that kind of links all of it together, I find.
Okay, that's interesting. Because that's one of the first things they teach you when you first start meditating in the like videos on YouTube that I've watched is to first start with the breath. Yes. Because my mind runs crazy 24/7. You don't realize how. I'm sure it's for everybody.
Welcome to the club. Yeah.
Yeah, this is 21st century. Everybody's mind's crazy.
Have you ever done any yoga?
No, I would love to, but I'm
Come
very
tomorrow.
hesitant. I'm
Class at 6:30.
I'm trying. I'll try to make it. I'll be honest. I'm doing work night shift this whole week. We're doing a big job in the city.
Okay.
But I'll try. But I'll definitely try. You only do it once a week?
Yeah, but I would do it every day if I had time. But yeah.
Has it helped your flexibility? You are super flexible when we've climbed together.
Yes.
The moves that you can pull off, they're amazing, especially for your height as well.
There are some climbs that I think height is a disadvantage in some climbs, but it's definitely an advantage in most of the climbs.
In most of the climbs, I think it's a rare case when it's like this, maybe in the underhangs and stuff like that. They're real, the real tight ones.
Yeah. I don't know. Overhangs are my favorite.
Do you love them?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm starting to warm up to them now. After I completed that V7.
Yes.
Yeah, the pink V7.
It's not technically a V7. It's a 7 in St. Peter's.
Yeah.
Which is not a V grade. It's their internal grading system.
Yeah.
That's why when we go outdoors, everything feels much harder on the same number, because it's like...
that's the proper grading then.
Yeah.
So what would that be then? Probably like a V4 outdoors.
Yeah.
Then. Gosh, that's a hard V4, man.
Yeah. But more or less the transposition is that.
When we done those V0s, those class V0s, I was like,
they feel like a 3 or a 4.
A 3 or a 4, yes.
Indoor, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're not doing. I used to climb in a gym in New Zealand, and they used the actual V grading system.
Yeah.
And at the time, I could not do a V2. Like it was like too hard.
Oh well. Well, that's what I
had
noticed.
just started though.
One of my I got this chalk bag. It says 8B, the brand is 8B plus.
Mm-hmm.
And when I seen how hard the grading is for an 8B plus, I think it is, or 8. Yeah, I think it's 8B plus. It's a gnarly grading, man. I looked at how many climbers actually get to 8B, and it's not a lot. Yeah, not a lot. So St. Peter's got to update grading then.
Chan is one of the strongest climbers I climb with.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good. He's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Because
Still
your
lot to
technique is
improve.
unreal, honestly.
And he's working on creating content about climbing. How does climbing affect your peace of mind? Does it play a role?
Massively. Climbing has changed my life.
Please.
It really has.
Elaborate.
I've gone through a fair bit of adversity throughout my life. I'm sure everybody has. And I tried so many ways to get out of it. I've tried many ways to get out of it. And climbing was
What kind of adversities? Like just
pain from
physical, emotional, bit of both.
Emotional pain, childhood pain, emotional pain. I loved this person for a long time and just didn't work out, and I had to get away. I remember I tried to get out of. I moved out of Sydney for a while. I was just pursuing work, and I was going to Adelaide. I went to some beautiful places in Australia. Made me love the place.
What's the most beautiful place you've been in Australia?
It changes. It always changes.
That's a good
It's here right now. It's here right now in this moment. To try to get all spiritual and all cute, but it's here now. We're spending time with two friends, and we're just having a chat about the things that matter in life.
That's very nice.
But everywhere's beautiful in its own way. It's like kids. When people try to describe their kids, they're like, "Oh, I don't have a favorite." I'm like, "Yeah." Which one do you like to take to the swing? You know what I mean? Oh, this one's always keen for that, or that one's keen for this. Then, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing is like things that you're not supposed to say.
Yeah.
So you were experiencing pain.
Yeah, some a lot of emotional pain, and it wouldn't stop. It would not cease. It just kept going. So, anyways, I loved climbing as a kid, and I said I need to change everything that I'm doing. I had to chill out on booking and so much work, and I said, right, I'm going to try to do something. And I wasn't scared of heights as a kid, and it slowly started. I started gaining a fear of heights. So, anyways, when I was really hurt by that, I was pissed off by that. I said, stuff it, I'm going to do it. And then I started off climbing. I was never doing it consistently. Then I had a breakup with another girl, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to give it all everything I got, and I love it. It helps me. It gave me the first biggest thing was you don't think of anything else when you're on the wall. It's just you on the wall. It's just you and the climb, and then
it clears your mind.
Yeah. Nothing else matters. Like everything zones out. Sometimes you get there and you're intimidated. You're like, oh, I'm climbing the easy climbs. All these other guys and girls are gonna laugh.
We should probably specify that when we say climbing, we're actually talking about bouldering.
Bouldering. Yeah.
Do you do rope climbing or like a lead or a top rope or anything?
I started off doing top rope, but slowly but surely, my friends, it wasn't what they were into. And it's very taxing, as you know. And if you don't love it, chances are you're not going to hang around long.
Personally, I find it boring. Like, I love how bouldering engages your brain as well as like your body. And top roping, or lead climbing, or anyway, like just actual rock climbing is more about going up, which I don't care for that much. Once you reach a certain level, basically you're doing bouldering just much higher, but I don't know, I just like
it's I know what you mean. It's kind of not for you. You kind of just like it's a lot of left right, maybe a little bit of
maybe Chan has a different point of view about this, but
what do you think about it, Chani?
It really depends on the climb, but I do find a lot of the top roping or lead climbing, it's a lot of just straight upwards.
Yeah.
But there are like more climbs that are more bouldery. Yeah. And stimulate the mind more than just like up.
Yeah, because a boulder is a boulder problem, and you need to figure out solve the problem and like actually think about the moves, and sometimes you need to do like some crazy like shouldery weird stuff with heels design. Or
it could be as simple as like one of the recent ones that we're doing, going from this to this.
Yes.
It makes all the difference on the winch up.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can stand up if your toe is facing like left, but if it's right, like you just lie on the wall. Like it's
I'm going to get that 8. I have to get it.
Yes.
But that's what it's done for me. It changed my life. We've all spoken about this many a times, and I was just talking about Chun to Chun about this in the lounge room before we started. We're just talking about how climbing has definitely changed all of our lives. The community is a big thing.
Yes.
Massive.
It's very social as a sport.
The same week that we all met, I met you, I met Dean. There was another climber there. I don't see her that much there anymore, but that's when my climbing started progressing exponentially.
Who's the other climber?
Christy. I don't know if you remember, but yeah, she's a nice girl. She was coming in. The day that I was there, I'm like, look, most of the time I'd go in, I'd just focus on the climb. I'm like, just get your climbing done and get out. But I'm like, I gotta start talking to other people, getting into it,
Yeah, but it creates a community. I like that. Some days, like before I can start climbing, I spend like 20 minutes just saying hi to all the people that I know. Like,
yeah. We walk in there on the Sunday, and it's like an episode of Cheers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. That's helped me a lot, the community feeling. You walk in there and everyone knows everybody. Everybody's pushing everybody on. Everybody's supporting
Motivation.
everybody.
Yeah.
Massively. You can't let anybody down. That's what I love about it. Everybody's getting lifted up from it, and there's that aspect of it. There's the crush of the climb. Once you get that hard problem you were working on.
You know how many times I'm like on a climb that is like hard for my level, and I'm like 2-3 moves away, and I'm like, I'm about to give up. I'm gonna just jump down, and then I hear a total stranger screaming like, "Yeah, stay there!" And that gives me and I get it. Like, and otherwise I would have just jumped off or fell or whatever. And it's astonishing how like it does make a difference in your climb. Like, it affects your body physically.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna just hold on that
little bit, and you're like, nah, I'm off. I'm coming off. That day that you came down on the Wednesday. Wednesday you came down, I was climbing. I wasn't going to stay there for long that day, and I said to myself, I'm doing 2s, 2s and 3s, and I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
And then you messaged.
That's also a good exercise. Just to stay warm and don't like get
do any crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And then you came and were like, yeah, we'll do the 8. We'll try to get this 8.
I mean, you need to get that.
How has it changed? How has it affected your life?
About the same. I used to be depressed, and sports in general affects my mood a lot. I used to be a very active sport person before 2015, which is when I moved to New Zealand.
From? America? Was it the time? Canada? You're telling me you were? Or?
Where was I? I think it was in Italy. I was living in Milan.
Yeah.
For a year in 2014, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, I was climbing in Milan. And before that, I was doing jiu-jitsu in Italy. But anyway, 2015 is when I stopped all activities at once. I was doing so many sports, kayaking and like table tennis.
Kayaking's sick.
I know.
I love
rafting, wild water rafting. We need to get into that.
Yeah.
But it was like my everything in my life just went like downhill.
What do you want to share what it was, or?
I think I didn't really like, and this is something that people make fun of me for saying all the time, like, oh, you really hate New Zealand. I don't hate New Zealand. I just don't like it. And
it's not for you. I understand that.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's like astonishing, gorgeous landscapes, and there are probably other good things about it, but this is not for me.
For you. Yeah. Was it the people? Was it just the vibe? Was it the bloody cold?
Okay, to be fair, I was living in Auckland, and everyone says Auckland and New Zealand are like two different things in a way. Like there's Auckland and there's the rest of New Zealand, which is the good part of New Zealand, which I traveled and I really liked. But there are many things that I didn't like.
Share. Just free space. Say what you want to say.
I think I'm just trying to put it in a way that it kind of makes sense. I think people are laid back, which is good, but they're also lazy in a way. Like you don't accomplish much.
Yep.
Another thing is there's not much culture in
Auckland?
a strict sense. Like there's.
You kind of lose that with a big city. I'm probably going to get shot for saying this, but you kind of lose that in a big city. Because
if you're in New York, it's a nice story. But
well, you kind of, it's a culture shock. But then you'd be, what I think would probably happen in New York. I've never been there, so I'm just gasballing right now. You go right. So many immigrants are coming in, so you're going to get a lot of people that are sticking to their own little groups, and you're going to have like a lot. So, like, give you an example here in Sydney. There's a lot of South African shops, but there's not for a lot of there's no Zimbabwean shops.
Okay.
There's plenty of South African shops, but there's no Zimbabwean shop. If there was more Zimbabweans here, I'm sure we'd see a Zimbabwean shop opening up. So what would end up happening is you probably look at the population that's moving there, and then you're going to get like a little community around there. Do you know what I mean? It's going to kind of force that type of culture to be more ever present, as like a nostalgic feel from home.
Interesting.
Like being an Italian in Sydney, there's a lot of Italian restaurants in Leichhardt.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere.
In
Yeah,
Leichhardt
yeah, yeah.
a lot, but
And it's great because you can kind of go,
it
you know
is.
what? I
I
miss
sort of
home.
avoid Italian places, but yeah, it's good. When I want to feel home, I just go.
You can go.
Yeah.
You know what? I got to go hang out
Home.
with
Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I have to go see my mum. I'll be like, okay, that was like home. Or you know what I mean? Or I have to see some family, which I'm so thankful I've got in Australia. That's as far as it goes for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was the question again? I forgot.
I don't even.
Have you ever been to New Zealand?
I would love to. I'd love to go to New
It's
Zealand.
great to go like trekking. And
All the stuff that we're into, climbing, hiking, fishing. It's amazing. What I wanted to ask you, that's it. Why did you leave Italy? Now everybody's different story. What was what was the cause of the inspiration?
so okay, I don't believe in countries for one thing.
Okay. Tell that to Interpol. Yeah.
You know, like passports were invented like 100-something years ago. It's not even that old of an invention. Like people used to be free to roam the planet as they wanted. Like there were some like
no-goes.
old forms of travel permits or whatever you want to call them, like papers signed by the royal family that will let you would ease your access to a certain area.
Yeah.
But and that's still like few hundred years ago. Before then, you could just go around, and it was crazy dangerous because if you would speak a different language, they would just kill you. But if you cannot communicate, I think that was the barrier at the time. Like if you are not able to communicate that you're like a friend, then you're an enemy. And game over. They're not taking that risk with you. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're alone, maybe, but like pack of people from a different country that speak a different language is just like it's not gonna work.
So what made you leave your country that you didn't believe the borders existed in?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I think I don't relate to any culture or country or ideology in a political sense. I believe more into the concept of like a global consciousness and a global community. And I've never seen like it was really hard for me as a kid to understand the concept of racism, for instance, because I grew up in a family where like that thing was not even mentioned. And we had a lot of like in Sicily there's a lot of Africans. So I grew up with in a very diverse community, and I had a lot of friends that were like coming from Africa, a lot of friends were coming from Asia, and it didn't even cross my mind, that concept, until once growing up I started noticing certain behaviors
from other people
from outside that group or circle. And I started asking questions like,
why are you this way towards them? Yeah.
What's going on? What's the deal in here? And in the same way, I've never seen differences between people from different countries. And why should people have different rights just because of the place where they are born? Like it does, but you have certain rights in Australia and you don't have them if you go to like America. And so why is that? Aren't we like just people like that? So
you're 100% right. You're 100% right.
In that sense, I just like don't understand how, because back in the days when you did sort of need countries to maintain an order and avoid like conflicts and all of that, countries sort of made sense. But as soon as you start bringing people together, which started basically in the 1900s with like, I think the internet has changed the way how people perceive each other.
Of course, massively, for sure.
And once you go in that direction, basically everyone comes closer to each other, except when social distancing comes in play. But once you reach that point that you actually like understand that we're all the same, who the fuck like who gives a shit about like this is where my land ends and where your land starts, and like if and also another thing is like people that are really connected to their roots and their they
close it like almost
territory, like this is where I was born, this is where my father was born, my grandfather was born, so this land is like I have a connection with this land. That is not your land, if you ask me. That's land where you were raised, and you are totally like allowed to have emotional connection with that piece of land, which still belongs to the whole humanity equally, and everyone should respect and care for that equally. It doesn't mean that you own it, as much as it doesn't mean that if you're born in Italy you should not be allowed to go to Korea or whatever.
Of course, no, yeah, they're definitely. We had. I was hanging out with two friends.
So I left Italy.
no,
and I kept and I kept leaving countries, and I started like changing country every year for the past 15 years until I came to Australia, and I decided to stay for a while.
How did that impact your well-being? Like the whole leaving was a bit hard at the start, coming from a family home. Have you traveled much? I was born in Zimbabwe. I seen when we were younger. We went to Zambia. This is off the. I probably don't remember half the places I've been to because I was so small. Went to South Africa, Botswana. Anywhere else off the top of my head? I've been to England. That was.
How long did you stay in each place? And how old were you?
I was born in Zimbabwe. Born there, 1990. I was born in Bulawayo, which is the second largest city, or the second capital, if you will. Beautiful place. People are amazing. The landscape is next level. If you want to get into that,
I really want to go to Africa.
Oh, you got to see Zimbabwe, man. It's gorgeous, man. Oh.
Everyone wants to go to South America for some reason. Never been to South America. I really want to go to Africa
first. After COVID.
yeah. Like, the rest of the world is actually still traveling. Like most of the countries, except for islands and Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah.
The majority of the rest of the planet is like.
They're doing whatever. They're just like, you know what? If we get sick, we get sick. Yeah. We're going to be stuffed. If the whole world keeps going this way, this is how people die, because what will end up happening is the virus will get stronger and stronger and stronger.
I don't think so. I think
that's
how
viruses work. No, that's how viruses work. So if the whole world is still getting sick.
Yeah, they're going to develop immunity. And
we're not. That's right. So that virus is going to get stronger because it has to fight. So if people's immunity gets built up, So what ends up happening is when this is what happened to any like all the natives of the countries when any foreign not just invaders, explorers or invaders, whatever you want to view.
That were not.
These poor buggers had never encountered this disease, and you get a big wallop of like even the flu. Imagine the flu evolved with a certain civilization for 100 years. So that flu would have had to beat this immunity, and then you go, hey, new people, want to use my tissue? You know?
Yeah,
it's gonna suck. Like that's the problem with it. Hopefully we don't cop that, man. I'm a bit scared of that.
Well, the vaccine it's supposed to fix things in a way. So. They say it's gonna last like 6 months, and you're gonna need to get a new shot every 6 months.
Only 6 months? The flu's like a year. Those cheeky buggers. I got a tetanus shot the other day. That sucked, man. Have you had your tetanus shot?
No, the last vaccine I did was a yellow fever thing when I was supposed to go to Peru.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then the trip was cancelled. Yeah. And I'm yellow fever proof for the next like 9 years, I think.
Nice.
But I'm not planning on going in any.
Mosquito.
Do we have any questions?
Yes, we had one from Marco Lipini.
Okay.
Says, good morning.
Hi, Marco.
Hey, Marco.
So he says, Eckhart Tolle says that we don't need to identificate with our mind, but only look at her in the present moment, and in this way we can connect to the source from everything comes.
Ooh.
What do you think of this quote?
What do you think?
That's gorgeous. I like that. Was that Marco that said that was his name?
No, it was something.
That was from Eckhart Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle. Yeah. Tolle. That's beautiful. That's beautiful, mate. I can definitely see that on a fridge magnet. It's definitely beautiful. I like that. I think trying to identify it is like this is what you were saying about putting labels on things. Yes. Here's us trying to decipher it and minimalize it or classify it. All right. But that's when you spoke about that, I was with you on that. I said, you know what? I'm putting labels on things. It kind of takes away from the beauty of the unknown. You're kind of labeling something and you're going, there it is. There's the information. I can always, it takes away from it. But in saying that, as humans, we are evolved to recognize patterns. And if you see a subject, a pattern, okay, let's just say whatever, you can categorize it. You can see a pattern, you can almost categorize it. Give you an example. We have the next amount of time, the sun is at its highest, it's at its warmest, we have summer.
Yes.
It then starts getting cold for roughly about this next slotted amount of time. Things start dying off. The trees start, the leaves start. We have autumn.
Yes.
We've categorized the pattern.
How language works. Like
Yeah.
We
can do that with language. This is why prejudice is going to be a massive problem to get rid of. How do you get rid of prejudice? You can't. It's going to be hard.
What do you mean with prejudice?
So, because like any prejudices. So, like let's just say, I can't use that one. Let's just say Zimbabweans are cheap. This is not true, but Zimbabweans are cheap. It's a prejudice.
Yes.
It's almost like is that the right word for it? Prejudice?
Probably like just being
it's
assuming or yeah.
Oh no, it's not. It's a stereotype.
Stereotype. Yeah,
Sorry,
that's more stereotype. Yeah. I mean, there is a fine line between the two.
But even a stereotype, type is a category. Stereotype. Yeah, it's a category. But it's a viewing of patterns that these people are now subjected to.
Yeah, but prejudice means like mean before, and judice is like judging one before you have enough information.
That's
to
right. So if you're gonna prejudice someone, that would have to come from like an external source of information that people have then recognized. So it's almost like stereotyping someone, because if you're gonna judge someone before you meet them, why? Yeah. So you've been exposed to.
Well, generally, when you have prejudice, you actually draw from stereotypes.
That's right.
Most of the times.
Yeah, which is a series of series of information that has been almost pattern-like.
Yes.
Even if it's not true, or if it was like maybe it was seen in one person, now it's just like a lingering joke. How do you get rid of it? How do you get rid of something that's in our system, in our we've been evolving with it for so long?
Do you believe prejudice has been passed down?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. In every way or form. I think it's almost like
part of education. And that's how you solve it, with education.
For sure.
Awareness.
Yeah, no, 100% awareness is key. Awareness is key. How did you guys feel about the Invasion Day posters that were all around? Did you guys see any of that
No, I don't know.
For Australia Day?
Okay, what's that?
How did that make you guys feel? Did you guys see that?
No, can you tell me about it?
So the Aboriginal population of Australia, obviously they went through some hardships, and they have a forever lingering pain from the past conquest that has landed here. You know, whatever happened, and I'm not a native. I don't even know. I've done my DNA test. I'm a native of many lands.
But you have no DNA in common with Australia.
I don't have any of the bloodlines that 23andMe has allocated for Australians. Yeah, okay. I don't have any of those.
I need to do that test.
Yeah, have a go. How did that? I just wanted to see how you guys made you guys feel seeing those things. Because Australia Day, there's a lot of things behind it, like saying they've moved the date. It's not even the actual date of when whatever happened, or I don't know the whole.
Australia Day is a holiday that was established like not too long ago, right?
Yeah, apparently, they've changed the date a few years ago. Do you know much about it, Chan?
Not too much, but
can you look it up?
There's a little bit of history behind it, but it was like a stab to my heart seeing all those things. You know,
what were they saying?
No, it's just like there's been a lot of publicity around that, and I've been trying to learn more about the heritage of this country because of it. So it has raised my awareness because I wanted to know. Oh, there we go.
1st of January 1901.
So see, it was founded on the 1st of Jan. So when was Australia Day? So is Australia Day the day that Captain Cook landed? Is that what it's meant to be?
I think so. Yeah.
When we were kids, this is coming from an immigrant coming to Australia. So I'm not a native of this land, but I do classify myself as a Zimbabwean Australian. But even then, I'm just NIKEEL. I was born in Zimbabwe. My little core values and all that were learned from there, and I came here and I got this accent from watching Neighbours. But it also segregated me both. So I remember growing up, it was a bit hard for me. I did cop a little bit of racism. I don't hold any grudges from it. It was just kids. They were just kids and kids, you know. We did feel left out. There's this big thing. We had the Cronulla riots. Do you remember that?
I wasn't here, but I heard of it.
Yeah. So what ended up happening was, when we were younger, the Cronulla riots happened, and there was a lot of how do you say? I'm trying to.
When was that? Like 2015?
No. I was still in high school. When that happened. There was a lot of beef with me and my friends. We'd walk around. We'd get bottles thrown at us. We'd get caught all sorts of
really?
Yeah. It was crazy.
That's fucked up.
It's crazy. That's all right. It's all right.
No,
They're just people were just angry at the time.
It is very much not.
Yeah, I didn't feel good about it as a kid, but now I'm like, you know what I mean? I get their anger. They had to express their anger somehow. But there's consequences for expressing your anger. There's other people who are going to be angry at you expressing your anger. And that was me sometimes. I'd be like, yeah. Anyways. This doesn't kind of go for me anyway, but like I'd see the Invasion Day thing, and there was like, I'd feel excluded because the way the media portrays things, I got a big problem with that. When the riots happened, there was all these people when I was in school writing PTBA on their bags, which meant proud to be Australian, and only the Caucasian kids would do it, and we'd be left out, and there'd be some sort of like, there'd be this barrier between us. And now in 2021. God love them. I know they've gone through a lot of hardships, and there's a lot of the Invasion Day thing, and it's like Australia always was and always will be, and it's like there's just so much. Why are we still focusing on this? I feel left out again. I just feel segregated again because it's like why? Like I understand that there's pain, but nothing's gonna bring that pain back or make it better. Nothing's ever gonna make these things better. We just got to move forward as one, as all. I'm not taking away from the pains from the past. I can. Those things will never be justified ever, but to linger on them is a burden that you should not have to carry.
You know, there is one thing. There are so many things that I don't like about Italy, but there are a few things that I like besides the food. There is no sense of national proudness. Pride.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no sense of national pride in Italy.
I mean, if you think about like, you see commercial for new internet connection, and they go like, "Oh, this is the fastest internet in Australia. All the Australians are gonna have the fastest internet." Like, and they use the word Australian to like, and that gives like identity to a nation, and people can relate. Oh, that's talking to me. I'm Australian. And in Italy, they would never do like. I never seen like this is the best Italian. What they just go like people like, like but not even like it's just like, oh, this is the best internet you get. If you want to, you get it. Otherwise, fuck off. Like they don't give a shit. And this comes from like a background that is like very. Italy is like as a population, Italians are like relatively fresh because. Italy used to be a bunch of states, and then they got all together. And but I think the communication that the government does when they speak to Australians or Americans, like even worse, it kind of segregates everyone else. Like, okay, this is just for Australians. This is just for Americans. This is just for.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
And at a subconscious level, it creates
segregation, a form of segregation.
Yeah, you feel that you're part of the like cool kids club, and everyone else is just like out of it. And why is that?
Well, that's exactly right. Like they're just going like some of the climbing gyms that are doing it. They'll do like, and I don't care about the when I say I don't care. That doesn't bother me at all. What type of sexual orientation that anybody has ever. Obviously doesn't affect me. I'm part of I'm guessing what is the norm nowadays. But as soon as they start, so one of the gyms they'll go, it's this type of climbers night, this type of sexual orientation night, and you're like, bro, what if I want to climb too? Now you've made it like their night, like
you made it weird.
Yeah, like I don't want to go now. You know, do you know what I mean? But why? Don't do that. It's almost like saying it's the shoes on the other foot. Like brown people were accused for stuff, all the shit that happened with my people in the past, right? Now there's like these things where it's like coloured only events, and you're like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
We fought against that. I'm a Zimbabwean coloured, right? We fought against that. We fought against like a white only pub or whatever. Now they're doing like coloured only pubs. Like, bro, what do you, there's no thought behind it. It's like it's almost like the illusion of free choice now. If you look at the grand scheme of things, it's almost like reverse psychology. It's like, okay, you do your own little thing, and it's like, okay, we're going to segregate ourselves, but it's like you were doing that anyway. That was the past. Do you know what I mean? Like
it doesn't make sense.
It's a stupid conundrum. You're like, why are you doing this? We should be unified as one. It's a silly burden to carry, and it's too heavy for a person and or a people to carry.
I think it has a lot to do with fear of whatever is like xenophobia.
I think it's a power grab. That's what I think. So I'll tell you what happened in Zimbabwe. Okay, I was talking to Shane about this. We're talking at the pub, and we're saying, he goes, yeah, the Aboriginal people should be given their land back. And I said, fair enough. I got to tell you what happened in Zimbabwe. I said, yeah, whatever you think, Shane. I don't know nothing about it. I'm not of that bloodline, and I'm not of this place. But I love this land like nobody else, and I love the people. In Zimbabwe, there was a war fought. And there was two political parties. There's more. I'm sure there's more of the story in Rhodesians, and Zimbabwe's going to hate me for saying this, but this is how I understand it. There was two political parties. There was ZANU-PF and ZAPU-PF or whatever. Don't know much about it. Anyways, they were fighting for their land. They were the natives of that land. It was north and south, and they were teamed up against the British forces. And being a coloured, you could choose to fight on. You're kind of conscripted, really, but they're also conscription. You know what conscription is? Yeah. So then they said, right, you have to kind of fight. Or if you had, being mixed race, if you were kind of affiliated with the other parties, like the other guerrilla parties that they were fighting against, you didn't have to fight because there's a conflict of interest there. Anyways, to make a long story short, they fought the war. Doesn't matter whatever happened. The land was given back. The land was given back to Zimbabwe. It slowly went downhill. Zimbabwe was the richest country in Africa. This is, I think, in the pre the 70s. Okay. Pre-70s. It has slowly gone down and down and down and down. The place has been run into the ground by the people that...
What's the richest country in Africa now?
I don't know.
South Africa? No.
No, I don't think so.
Egypt?
I'm just too sure.
Throwing.
I wouldn't know.
Can you look it up? What's the richest country in Africa?
I know Ghana's doing okay. I know some of the islands were doing well because of tourism. So I think they're working on like a GDP, which is like richest per capita. Yeah. But it's like it doesn't mean like you're doing well against a massive country. I know Ethiopia was like the joke of Africa when we were growing up. It was always like, help the Ethiopians. They're doing well now, mate. They can help us.
I love the food. It's one of my favorite like cuisines, Ethiopian food.
Ethiopian food? Yeah.
Love it. The injera bread.
Ooh, I've never tried it.
Really?
I've never tried it, man. I would love to.
We will go.
Yeah, done. I want to see a Zimbabwean restaurant.
Is there any?
My mum's place. None that I know of. There's South African restaurants, but I want a Zimbabwean one.
What's that? South Africa? No.
Not
Nigeria.
Oh my days! Of course they got
richest country in Africa is Nigeria. I would have never guessed.
Look how many. They've been ripping off a lot of people.
Like
those Nigerians.
South Africa or Egypt, but yeah.
There's a stereotype. Never trust a Nigerian.
I have a lot of Nigerian friends.
Got any money? Kenya, Egypt, Algeria, Morocco.
Kenya, yeah, I guess the tourism. Morocco probably like marijuana or something like.
Maybe their rice.
Yeah.
Couscous. They're couscous. Yeah, Moroccan couscous. Yeah. Algeria. I don't know much about Algeria. There you go. Egypt's doing well. South Africa's doing.
That's
very
hash,
well.
not marijuana.
No, they're doing all right. Wow. I can't believe Nigeria's killing it. All those blood diamonds, mate.
And like,
thanks,
Leo. Like there's a bit of a gap. Like they're not even close.
Oh well, yeah.
Like, what's that?
I can't believe Nigeria's doing. They're doing so well. Good on them.
What's the main source of
income?
Income in Nigeria, yeah. Like, where is the money coming from?
Old white women.
I know, like in New Zealand, it used to be tourism, for instance.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Before COVID.
Oh, oil.
oil. Fascinating.
Oh gosh, wow.
So they're going to
Crude
be
oil.
broke soon, as soon as like electric becomes
Yeah,
the
so
norm.
when are they? I think didn't they get rid of diesel cars in England, in the city?
Maybe.
That's why all the cabs have been here. They've been sent here.
I've seen a lot of
yeah. Apparently, because they're banning well, there's a tax on diesel cars in the city in like London and so on. And apparently, I'm starting to worry. I'm like, do I get another diesel car? What do I do?
I don't like diesel.
I don't care. Like, just, I don't want to have to buy a car and then buy another one. I'm sure everybody's else thinking the same thing. That's like, I've had that car for, gosh, almost like 6 years. 7 years. I've had that car for 7 years. So if I buy another one in another 7 years, is that going to be obsolete? Diesel going to be obsolete?
How often would you change a car?
The only reason I bought that car brand new, it's my work car. I have such love for that car. It's done some crazy shit with me. It's kept me alive. We went to Queensland, went to this farm in Queensland for a family fishing trip. That thing, mate, for a van took me through mud, up hills. I almost tipped it with my cousins in the car. But she stayed strong. She's my baby.
Yeah, Toyota Hiaces are so strong.
They're beasts, man. And I've paid it off. I can get another car, but I don't want to.
That's not a reason to.
Yeah, I love it. If I'm going to get another car, it's going to be another work car. I'm going to be that guy. I've got 2 work cars. I don't want.
I don't know. I kind of want to get a Tesla Cybertruck. That's my...
The Cybertruck, they look cool. They do look cool. When I first seen it, I've gone, oh, that's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
That's why it's cool.
Yeah, I do like it. You know what I do want to see more while we were just on the topic, talking kind of about food? I want to see more Aboriginal tours.
Mm-hmm.
And Aboriginal people with heritage and or recognised by their community taking us on tours everywhere. So if I wanted to learn more about the culture, I want to see them everywhere. I want to learn what bush tucker I can eat. I want to learn about the land. They have
Where can you do that?
There's a few places. I started looking them up. There's a bloke that will take you through the botanical gardens in Sydney, the one in the city, CBD, and he'll walk you through the botanical gardens and show you what you can and can't eat. I seen the first one I did see was somewhere in the Daintree, and it's
oh yes, I've done that.
God, that's
yeah.
amazing, mate. He'll take you it's for seasonal food, mud crab if you're lucky, things like that. Man, that's sick. That is so cool. I would love to do that. They should be doing more of that at schools as well.
I think, yeah.
Every school they should be teaching about our land. Everybody knows about their land, but none of the, I shouldn't say none of the kids, but when I was in school, I was only in primary school from the end of year 5 to year 6, and I didn't learn much about their history and heritage. I would love to learn about that stuff, man. There's such an amazing people. They've been here for so many thousands of years. They say what it's like 50,000 years, 60,000 years or something like that.
I'm not sure, but
God,
a lot.
that's amazing. That they would know this land like back and forth. You know what I mean? That's invaluable knowledge.
But most of the knowledge is lost.
I'd hope not. It breaks my heart to know that. There was a place where we went climbing the other day, right? We should probably have a chat to the Bankstown City Council about that. We were finding shells in the national park. That's a fruit preparation and cooking area. Those shells don't exist in Georges River anymore. That should be a heritage site.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Yeah. Like I'll show you the video again next time. It's in the group chat. It is, mate, that's heritage. That should be protected. It breaks my heart to see that. You can see where they've people have ground up the stone for the painting. You can see like in the actual rocks where they've got the red and from the sand. I'm guessing it's sandstone. I could be probably wrong. So you get the red and the yellows, the red and yellow hues. It's beautiful, mate. So good.
Fantastic.
Italy has such a rich history.
Yes.
Beautifully rich. I know there's
Italy, Europe.
Yeah, for sure. Same with Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has. Do you know what I started doing? I started doing hikes, right? And I started doing hikes that were local, and even the touristy ones didn't matter to me. I had this chat with one of the climbers, and they're like, "Oh, I live in the Blue Mountains." I'm like, "Oh, did you do the Grand Canyon walk?" And she goes, "No, that's one of the touristy things." And I'm like, "Oh, I wanted to tell a story, but I didn't get the chance to." I'll tell you a story that pertains to me. When I was a kid, I seen Victoria Falls. I went a few times. It is one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see in your life. Super touristy, but it is gorgeous, man. All right? Seen that. Family took me there. I never seen Great Zimbabwe. always thought, I was always like, oh, can we go see it? Great Zimbabwe is a massive, it's an ancient civilization. It's a ruins of an ancient civilization. It's the biggest ruins built without mortar.
Okay.
Right? Massive. Anyways, never seen it. Because we'll take you one day. It's just down wherever. Right? Maybe a couple of hours away, I'm guessing. I spoke to my uncle. So my uncle that lives here. And he goes, oh yeah, never seen Big Falls. Seen Great Zimbabwe. I was having a chat with him. He goes, yeah, I've seen Great Zimbabwe. Never seen Big Falls. And I found that so intriguing. Like, you never know how long you're going to spend in a country if you said that to yourself. Neither would I. Or wouldn't you kick yourself if you never seen all the icons of that country? You're talking to somebody. Oh, imagine if I was talking to somebody now and they're like, you're a Zimbabwean? Oh, I seen Great Zimbabwe. How cool is it? I'll be like, I never went. I never seen it. And imagine you kind of just go, how can you not see such an icon of your country? It's a shit excuse to go, it's touristy, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I have the tendency to avoid
touristy areas.
Yes.
So now we're becoming a bit more aware. Maybe you should give them a go. All the places that I've been going, besides like the Blue Mountains on my Facey, right? They're all relatively close to my house. 40 minutes, half an hour. That's why I share them. I kind of share them so people can go. I kind of overshare.
Those places look amazing.
Amazing. And it's funny that I met you when I first did meet you, right? And I didn't know about anything about your occupational background. I wanted to learn how to take better shots, better landscape shots, better just so I can communicate better with other people instead of just showing rubbish photos, right? And then you're like, I'm in media. I do everything, the camera, everything. I'm like, it's got, how funny is that? I asked in my head and I sort of received.
That's amazing. What's in the relationship that you have with nature? I guess my question is, what's in that relationship beyond what's obvious?
Beyond what's obvious. So I know I'm gonna have to give a shout out to the obvious. It is healing. It's healing for me. You go there and like if you cut off from it for such a long time, you forget how to connect with it.
Yes.
Everybody connects in a certain way. That words kind of become a cliche. Oh, we connect to nature, but you do. As soon as you walk in and you see something, you get immersed by. You kind of forget. It's almost like climbing. You kind of forget about you. The blinders come on, yes. and the external world doesn't exist for a second. It's an escape from reality. Even though you're living in the moment, you are witnessing reality. It is escape from the pressures of your mind for a moment.
That to me only works when I'm not in a context that reminds me of what's. If it's a bubble, like you know what I mean. Like if I can hear a motorway. If there is a like a road or a trail, if there is anything that reminds me of civilization, it doesn't work for me. I don't.
What about a walking track? Would that affect you?
Yes.
Oh God,
like,
really?
Yeah, I hate it. I only go off track. I only go on like multi-days trekkings. Like I don't do hikes for the same reason why I avoid like touristic places. Like if there is a trail, if there is like a fence, if there is like a toilet, like a cafe.
Wow.
This is not nature. This is just like a tourist.
Yeah, it affects you that much.
Yeah.
What about a car? Using your car, does that destroy does that take from the experience?
Okay, there's many levels on that. I love going 4-wheel driving.
Yeah.
But yes.
Wow.
Like, I do love doing that.
Yeah.
But I don't feel I'm in nature. I'm
nature.
not respecting nature. Like I'm not connecting with it. I'm doing something different. Like I'm having fun in a mechanical, technological, anthropological way.
Yeah.
Like I'm not connecting with nature. I'm not being one with the universe, if you wanna.
Yeah.
You know. But when I just like pack my backpack, stash of food, a camping stove, gas stove, and my tent, and I just walk into nothing, and I spend like 3 days, 4 days, a week. I need to like climb like with no
ropes,
no rope, whatever. I just climb with my backpack on. I just find like a piece of land by a river or whatever. Like Iceland is fantastic for that. Like you pack your backpack, you go to Iceland, and you start walking, and nothing else matters. It's just like it's you. It's the harshness of the environment. And yeah,
that's sick.
And that's just like
Okay, so I got.
And you don't want to go back to whatever. Like even if like it doesn't matter in which stage of my life, because I did it more than once. At some point I was like broke. At some point I was doing very well financially. At some point I had no friends. At some point I had a bunch of friends. It doesn't matter. When you're in that situation, you don't want to go back.
Wow.
It's just like it's perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I would like to, if there's any viewers
watching
watching
this. But then you do go back.
Oh, yeah, why not? If there's any viewers, I'd like to know how they view nature, and is there any external stimulus that kind of takes from the experience? Does music take away from it when you listen to music and you're out in the wild?
That's a very sensitive topic because I think I have an hearing impairment.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure. I think I was having this conversation with my mom not even a month ago, I think.
Yeah.
Like since I can remember. I don't think I can. There must be something off with my hearing, because for one thing, I'm super off with. I have no musical sense whatsoever. Like I cannot.
Same. Okay. Do you think that's a hearing thing?
I'm not sure.
I'm blaming my ears too. Then, mate.
The reason why I say that is because.
Yeah.
I keep hearing how people
like
have a
tone deaf,
emotional connection to music.
Massively. Yeah.
And I'm starting to think that I sort of like cut out certain like wavelength or something, and I don't hear certain things. Like I was doing this test with a sound technician the other day, and he was showing, like it was making me listen to different variation on the mixer, and there was like an equalizer, and there was some like sound effects, and it was like, okay, this sound is more like he has more whatever. Like there were differences in the sound. It was just like tweaking it in a way that like this feels more loud. This like the higher, the bass are lower, whatever. And we're like, it's all the same to me. Like I don't. And I was like, this is my whole life. I like this is what I do for my work, and like this is what I live for, and like you cannot even no.
It's like disparaging his job.
I just want to chime in here. Like I used to think I was the same. Like had no musical sense whatsoever. I only started playing music about 5 or 6 years ago, and before that I had no musical bone in my body. Didn't really connect to it fully and all that. But then I don't know. Like since then. I've developed this connection to music and all that. So
I did play music as a kid. I was playing piano, and I was pretty. I want to say good at it, but to me it was not about music. It was purely mathematic.
Okay.
Oh.
What about how do you interpret people's tone of voices? Because at the same time, that's a part of
empathy,
music.
I think.
You know, like. Say if someone's angry, can you interpret that they're angry? Because say, for example, like music's all vibration in a certain frequency, and same with the tone of voice in which we speak. And say if someone's angry, that's a different frequency to if someone's loving towards
100%, for sure.
So can you differentiate different tones, and how do you take that, for example?
Yes, but
you'd have to get rid of the visual stimulus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is a major component, which is like the nonverbal communication that plays a major role. I never done a test like
to hear a voice
with a blindfold, and you like now be upset and now be like happy and then try to tell. I think I could still tell because that's like a major difference. I cannot understand like small nuances in the like shades of whatever sound variations, but if it's a big difference like that, I think also my level of attention to. I used to be bullied at school, so I had to learn how to predict intentions of other people and be always alert. So I learned how to decipher the variation of like in the voice, in the behavior, in the body language, all of that. So I think I can do that because of that.
Yep.
But with music, I just don't know.
The bullying is very is an interesting topic. How did you learn to cope with bullying?
How everyone else does. You don't. I don't. I did.
So
Nah, I'm kidding.
yeah, no, that's fair. No, 100%. This is a massive thing, and people should learn productive ways of coping with bullying. It doesn't seem as ever present as when I was a kid. Obviously, I'm not in school anymore, so I don't know, and it differ from school to schools, class to class, people to people. But yeah, bullying was a big when we first moved here. Far out, I copped so much stuff, mate. Yeah, the African C word, and you know, and oh man, I had to get in a lot of fights in primary school because of her. Not anymore. But what it did teach me was I did, because I was in a strange country. For me, I would have been combative in Zimbabwe instantly, and I never would have dealt with those problems anyway. But when I was in Australia, you kind of like isolated, and I was like, oh shit, I'm by myself. There's nothing I can really do. I was like a different person. But eventually, what ended up happening is I did cop it for a while. A lot of my friends did. And what ended up happening was you kind of just go, right, now there's a point where you either cower or you're like, I'm going to fight now.
Yes.
And that's what happened with me. So I'm like, now it's on. Now I'm going to fight. And
I didn't see that as a fight. To me, I'm a believer in the fact that the struggle is what makes us. It makes me a better version of myself in certain ways. Like I'm more intelligent than I could have been if I wasn't bullied in a way. Like I need to react to certain situations that if I was never exposed to certain situations and dangers and problems, my brain would have never had to come up with solutions. So if my problem solving skills and all of that, it is what it is. It's because I had to face and solve certain problems and adapt. Yep. So
there is some positive outcomes because
I did realize that at some point, and I went like, oh, so it's good to be bullied, like in a way.
Well, that's an optimistic way of looking at things, and I think that's why you're such a resilient character. I think that's why I'm so resilient to a certain extent as well. But it's because of our perception on life and how we react to things. A lot of the time, my head, everything's a joke. I'm always trying to make a joke in my head constantly. I'm always trying to find the funny things. Music is an escape for me. It brings me joy. A lot of people that don't have those coping mechanisms, they get impacted a lot by that. Right?
But I think also depends on your personality.
Of course.
Do you think you're like more dominant or more like submissive as like personality wise?
I think I'm dominating in a lot of ways, and say maybe like it says tone of voice. I speak loud. I speak. When I've entered the room, I have a certain presence. But I wouldn't say submissive. I would say I allow for certain things. Like if somebody's talking, you don't be.
But that's just like
But that's
being
part of
polite.
You have to be polite. You make a good first impression. A lot of people didn't do that when I was younger, and I'd give them shit for it because that's the first impression counts. You meet somebody and they'll be like,
no, but what I mean is like if you do something that you know it's right and somebody imposes you like,
I wouldn't know. No, if they try to impose on a bad with bad intentions, I can't. I have to stand my ground.
Yes,
I can't.
That's where the difference lies. I think like. A submissive person will go like, okay, I accept your
I can't do
whatever,
that.
even if I know it's wrong. And since I was not like that as a kid, I think the struggle helped me because okay, I need to find a solution because I'm not gonna
it's not gonna help.
But if I was submissive, the same process would have been the opposite. Like if I was a submissive person, I would have gone like, okay, what's the easiest way to get out of this like dangerous situation, like avoid the conflict, all of that? Okay, just do whatever the bully says, and it's gonna be fine. And that's like, so there are two different ways of coping with this problem. One, you know.
That's good advice. This can help viewers. You know what I mean? How methods of evasive methods, almost, or coping methods. It's what people need. Instead of going my route, which was like, because I had enough, man. Like in my experiences, I was like, that's how there was only so much where I'd be like, just cop it, and then I was just snapped, and I went and said stuff at no more. And I think violence is the last way, and it's almost like. It's very barbaric. It's almost like an archaic way of thinking. You shouldn't be violent. You know what I mean? There should be other avenues, but I didn't see any at that point in time. It was almost like a dog in the corner where I was like, now I have to get unleash. You know what I mean? Like I have to defend myself.
Violence is never the.
It's never the answer. It's never the. You're 100% right, and it just breeds more problems.
And I used to be quite. Have you ever been violent?
As in.
In general, because I think I used to have a violent
streak
temper, but not in the physical sense, and probably because I was never like stronger than anyone else.
Yep. I had the same thing, but I would react differently. If I knew they were stronger than me, I'd have to find another way around it.
Yeah.
I became very sneaky.
I used to have very violent reactions to things.
Yeah.
But
was it
with the strengths that I had? I was using the strengths that I had to like enforce that violence, and I think that was not healthy at all.
Of course not. But was it warranted? Were these violent outbreaks warranted? That's on. And they're never warranted, really.
No.
But in the case of like, I would give you an example.
Out of frustration most of the time.
Yeah, if somebody kind of backs you in a corner and there's no other option, you kind of have to do that. Do you know what I mean? And then what ends up happening is like you says, like then now comes, once you get the taste. The problem with our brains is, it worked. So that action worked, and now you have to like go. I'm not naturally a violent person. I don't like violence, right? But my brain goes, that shit works, right? So now you're working against your brain going, don't do that. I'm constantly fighting a battle in my head going, don't smack him.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I use the bathroom quickly?
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to tell this story to Chan about... Chan, what do you think about violence?
Ooh.
Are you a violent person? To any extent?
Like inflicting violence upon others?
If you must, like, would you indulge into violence?
Say, if I'm in a situation where the only way out of it is to use physical force, I will have to do it for my own survival or to protect others that need that.
But I don't see that as... that's self-defense. It's when I say violence, I mean having a reaction that is overpowering someone else instead of finding an alternative, more peaceful solution.
No,
when the alternative is like available.
No, definitely no. No, I definitely would not inflict violence upon someone else just for the sake of it.
It's very good of you.
Yeah.
You're a kind person.
I guess because as a child, I had a lot of violence inflicted upon me just because they were angry or for no apparent reason.
And when I say violence, it could be like yelling at someone. It doesn't mean to be like punching them in the face. It could be like yelling at them. It could be like, I don't know, getting them fired if you're in that position. It could be like with no grounds for it. Like it could be anything. Like, yeah.
Right. No. I would not have that in me to be just malicious towards someone just to put them down. It's like, why would you? It's like, you're not helping anyone. You're not helping the other person. You're not helping yourself. You're just inflicting more of this violence and continuing that cycle. But that took a while for me to grasp, I guess, like having a lot of violence done upon me.
There's one for me.
Suffered for so long,
if you like.
And that brought me to the conclusion that you don't want to do that to other people, because I guess I know how that feels, and I wouldn't want to inflict that upon others.
Is there anything that you need to do to keep yourself grounded and stay on that level, or it just comes natural now?
That's a good question. I guess like all the things in life I do like help me ground myself and bring me to just like a higher state of being myself.
I missed the start. Were you a violent youngster, Chan, or no?
No, I wouldn't say I was violent.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Would you react violently a lot of the time, or anything like that, or?
No, I was quite like civil, to be honest. Like,
nice.
Just growing up, but like I do have my moments where I just like break down and like just like punch the pillow.
Yep.
And all that, or like a boxing bag or whatever.
Yep.
But in terms of like inflicting that upon other people, no, I wouldn't. That's not me.
What was your upbringing like, Chan? Were your parents really relaxed at home? Were you beaten as a kid?
Yeah, I was like beaten heaps as a kid.
Yeah, same.
Really? Yeah, like my parents were really like angry, violent people, just for like no apparent reasons. And probably a lot of reasons, like being immigrants and all, and just like struggling in their own egos and their own behaviors. Like, Yeah, like I had a really, really violent upbringing, and like there's no way to like justify that at all.
Of course not. No,
but from all that suffering and like consistent suffering, I've learned that like I don't want anyone to feel this way because fuck that shit.
For sure.
Like you don't ever want to inflict that upon anyone.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a way for me to stay there is to, I don't know, sports play a major role in my life. And I think even more than climbing, jiu-jitsu has gave me that kind of like, just gives me peace.
What I think is good about jiu-jitsu is it gives you a way out, and also it's also a tool that you know you can use, but you're not going to use. It's a responsibility given to you. That's how I'd perceive it. It's like saying I have a gun. So if you know you haven't got a gun, right, you'd be a different person with the guy that has got a gun versus the guy that hasn't got a gun. If you know you've got protection, like depends on the person again, but let's just say from my perspective, I would know that at any moment I'm safer than anybody, so I can react the latest.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's why I go, I can bide my time, whereas if I didn't have a gun, I'll go, shit, I need to get out of this now. Whereas like, okay, I can kind of just go, I can try and get out of this situation. Like this, I'm gonna get hated for saying this, but when I was a kid, I got beaten heaps as a kid, man. My mum smashed me, rarely, but my grandma gave us a hiding. My dad gave me a hiding. But the funny thing is, I never, I don't resent them in any way for it, because I was a bloody naughty kid, man.
Right? What did you do?
I've done so much stuff as a kid, mate. I'll give you a little fun example. When we were kids, I climbed this massive tree. Comes back to climbing. I climbed this massive tree.
Everything goes back to climbing.
For sure. It was one of the things I was just naturally good at as a kid. My cousins tried to do it. I don't think they were as proficient at me when I was around. They'd send me in, probably because they were smart, and go, just get the dumb one of us to go climb this massive tree.
Well, wasn't a tree. There was something. It
was a massive tree, mate. It was an apple custard tree.
Oh yeah.
Right, but it's a different type of fruit that they have here. Anyways, my cousin's like, Nikhil, go climb it. So I take the basket up with me and I climb the tree, and I start filling up the basket. This tree is huge, mate. If I seen my grandson in that tree, I would freak. But you don't care as a kid, and that's confidence is key for anything. So anyways, I start filling up this thing. I can hear him like cheering me on. Yeah, get that one. Nikhil, get this one, right? And then they were quiet.
Something wrong. Something's fishy.
It's like something's going on here. And so many times my grandma told me to never climb the tree, man. Don't climb the tree. What's wrong with you, Nikhil? Don't let me catch you in the tree. I look back down. There's no one there. Oh, sweet. I'll just keep climbing. But this thing's getting heavy, mate. I'll start coming down. Nobody's there. I turn back and there's my grandma, man. And she's got like she's got a wooden spoon, bro. She's going, and you wait till you get down. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna start crying or something, mate. I'm gonna get out of it, mate. I started crying on the way down. She's like, that's not gonna help. It's not gonna help. Just get down. I'm like, shit. She's like, come down here. What's wrong with you? Look how high you are. You can fall. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Mama. I'm sorry. Oh man, there's so much like stuff I did. I was such a naughty kid, man. I blew up a jerry can. That's what you call them here. Yeah, my grandparents used to work at this massive store. It's called Edgar's, and they used to get so much paperwork, and they'd burn it. They do back burns like they do in here. They used to do here. So anyways, we got them all together, and my cousins were like, I was with my cousin at the time, and she's like, oh yeah, we poured the petrol onto this burnt out car where they collect all this paperwork, right? And I poured the petrol onto her, and anyways, I made like a little trail of like just dead grass and all that, and I'd done the thing in the movies where you have like a little trail and light the trail, right? So I'd done that, and we were hiding behind the other car, which is not too far away from this thing. And she goes, where's the other jerry can? I'm like, what other jerry can? I got it here. She goes, no, the big one I brought. I'm like, I don't know where it is, man. What are you talking about? I bought this one. She's like, the other one's next to the car. I'm like, oh shit, I'll go get it. She's like, don't go get it, mate. Next minute, it just went bang, mate. Just black smoke. Oh, my days, mate. It just, when fuel lights like that, it's a big bang, a lot of black smoke, and man, it spreads, bro. It's like all over the bloody, we lived in a hobby farm, man. It's like dry shit everywhere. Oh, my days. I got in so much trouble, mate.
I can't imagine that.
Oh, man. I was so much shit. But see, like, the most traumatic things in my life, let's just say parental-wise, it wasn't the beatings, it wasn't the punishments. There was certain things that had happened, and that's when I was like, you know what? It's one of the closest people that could hurt me. You know what I mean? Sometimes we were on the way we were going to go fishing and we drove past. There was like what looked like a dead person on the side of the road, and it's not like I'm a hard ass or anything, but I was more curious because I didn't know this person that we drove past that was clearly dead, but it didn't hurt me, it didn't traumatize me. I was curious, I was intrigued. The only thing that could hurt me were the closest to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was like my mom, my dad, obviously my extended family, who I love dearly. My parents didn't get along much when I was a kid. They didn't see eye to eye. They were never together. That relationship took a toll, and how my certain characters went about it. I'm not naming who, but I have a beautiful mother and a beautiful father, and I love them both dearly. But yeah, that's where a lot of the pain from my childhood did come from. But there was a lot of good stuff. I had some excellent role models, aunties, uncles, grandparents. Yeah, man.
I think most people have the tendency to identify with their
grandparents,
emotions. Like when you say like, I'm happy, instead of like, I'm feeling happiness. Yeah. Like you kind of identify with a feeling. So that creates a problem, I think, because you're not. To most people, like, identifying with an emotion creates a conflict. Because when that emotion goes away, you get the down.
The absence of especially something like happiness. Yeah, for sure. I never thought of it like that. Gosh, I've never thought of it that way. You're coming down off a high. Happiness is only temporary as well.
Everything is temporary. Yeah. We go back to time again.
Yeah.
Is there anyone asking questions, saying things?
Yes, there was one more from Marco again. Okay. It says, Ramon, I remember that you were kidnapped in Alaska. Can you tell me more about that? And thank you to you and NIKEEL.
Pardon?
And he says, thank you to you and NIKEEL for a nice conversation.
Oh, mate, it's a pleasure to have you on board. And anything you want us to talk about, any type of issues that you're dealing with, or just want to discuss in general, have a three different perspectives on something, Marco, please ask away anything.
And everyone who's listening, please feel free to interact with us.
Yeah.
And Chan, feel free to interrupt us anytime if there is a question, like, so we can reply as fast as possible.
I love that Chan's.
But it's been really nice conversation, and I do like to continue that as well.
Yeah, it's amazing having all three of us in here as well. And I want to get. Is there a camera on Chan as well or no?
No, but I was actually planning on putting a new camera there because we kind of need one.
I would love to see. It's a great addition to the conversation, not just here. In every aspect, I've always a champion, mate.
Going back to Marco, I made a promise to MJ that I would. She asked me the same question during the last, like one of the first podcast recordings, and I told her I would tell that story next time I invite her. I don't think she gives a shit. I could tell it now. But I kind of want to save that for that occasion. Yeah. But I have another interesting story from Alaska.
Please share.
I almost died in a different context, not just the kidnapping. So that's a story that tells a lot about human nature, and I think it relates more with what we're talking about.
Oh my
so
God,
probably kind of sorry, Marco, about that. Stay tuned and you'll hear about that as well.
Yeah.
What happened is that I was with a friend. Yeah. I was working. I was shooting videos in Alaska, and I was with a friend who was working with me. We had to go from point A to point B. We were hitchhiking, and we've been hitchhiking in Alaska for several weeks at that point, and it was super easy. It's been like we met a lot of very nice, lovely people. It's been like crazy easy because it was just the time to lift the thumb, and like there was a line of cars willing to pick us up. So everything was going well. At some point, we had to cross the border into Canada. Yeah. And a friend of mine who's a documentary filmmaker had done the same trip couple of years before,
Mm.
and he told me, "Don't you even think of hitchhiking from there to Canada? Nobody's gonna stop. Nobody's gonna pick you up. You're gonna be like stranded in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
There's gonna be no phone coverage.
Oh no, mate.
You're gonna be surrounded by bears.
Mm.
The weather varies like crazy.
Yeah.
There's a prison nearby,
Yeah.
and there's the border like station.
Yeah,
So many reasons for whoever driving and there's no traffic anyway.
Mm.
Like it's just so remote that you're gonna see a car every like 2 hours. And I was like, hell gives a shit, I'm gonna try anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we went.
Yeah.
We did read the map wrong because we were going to Canada, so I had set my map into kilometers because in Canada they have kilometers, but in America they still had miles. So that was like 60 kilometers. No, it was 40 kilometers to reach the place we wanted to go.
Yeah.
Nobody picked us up. Like no car stopped.
Yeah.
We tried to go into a parking space and just ask the people who were there, and they were like, "Oh, the car is full. I'm sorry," or "We don't pick up hitchhikers," or "We're going the opposite direction," or "We just don't like you." So we got all sorts of answers. Anyway, it's night time.
Yeah.
We decided to camp, and we walk for like a couple of hours. We find this campground. There is a sign saying like sighted bears in the last couple of days, like be careful. You're like, okay, we need to sleep. We're gonna just like sleep.
Yeah.
But when you have bears around, you're not supposed to be carrying food. Not even toothpaste. That's what they say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of the smell, like attracts bears.
Gosh.
But we were running low on food anyway, so we ate everything. And
Toothpaste as well.
no, we didn't carry toothpaste. The plan was to get toothpaste as soon as we got to, to the next destination, the next city.
Yeah.
So we were in a place. If you want to bring up the map, we were in a place called. What was the name? It was amazing. The last place where we got to lift. It was like a reserve of Native Americans, and
Oh wow.
they took us in the reserve. They hosted us for a night. These guys were lovely. Like the total strangers. They were like, just come with us, sleep at our place, and
That's sick.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Then we had to do this thing, and there was no traffic, like zero cars.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, it's 40 kilometers. It's 6 a.m. We have no food, and like it's 100 kilometers to go back. So we can walk 40 kilometers. And with no food, we're going to be lighter.
Yeah.
It's not raining.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And we start walking
Oh no, mate.
into a desert highway. So we were trying to reach from Alaska. If you find Fairbanks, just go on Google Maps. It's probably easier. If you go to Fairbanks, there is an highway that goes east.
Yeah, I can see it already, the yellow one. There we go.
Yeah. And it crosses a place called Tok, T-O-K. And then our destination was Dawson City. But to reach Dawson City in Canada, you need to like, there's a fork at some point. And we have been stuck at that intersection for ages. Anyway, long story short, we start walking. We have no food.
Oh no.
We did read the map wrong. It was not 40 kilometers, it was 40 miles. So there was no chance of like getting there before dusk. And my friend gets super tired. we find a camper van in a there was a viewpoint in the highway, and I tried to approach them, and there was this lady, very like friendly, and go like, "Oh, hey, how are you?"
Yeah.
Like there was no phone coverage. Like we were in there was nothing around, just trees and bears and this camper van with an old lady. Like, I know that you're driving the opposite direction.
Yeah.
However, the border is like 20 kilometers in that direction, or it was like 20 miles at that point. And walking there, it's going to take us like a day. With a car, it's probably like half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, can you please give us a lift? We don't even want to cross the border, like, because I know that like you could get in trouble, whatever. Like, we have everything like totally fine. Like, our papers are in order, but I don't want you to take the risk. So just drop us like a kilometers before the border. We're gonna go walk across. I can even pay for your petrol, and I wanted to give her all the money that I had, and not much. I had like a few $100s in my pocket. I was like, just take the money.
Just take whatever,
Yeah. So like, oh, you know, like, you look like a nice guy, but my husband is old school. He doesn't like hitchhikers. And you know, this old grumpy Swiss dude comes out like from the back of the camper van and goes like, what's happening here? Like, who's this person and why are you talking to him? And like, oh, he's a nice guy, and like, can we? And he started thinking about it for a moment, and then I go like, yeah, and I'm with that guy over there. Oh, so it's two of us. Oh, it's two of you. Okay, no, definitely not. Then they drive away.
That's weird, isn't it? Why does two matter?
I don't
Is
know.
there a place in the car?
I have no idea. It was a huge camper van. So
That's weird, isn't it?
anyway, we keep on walking,
Yeah.
and it's night.
Yeah.
There's not much to do, and we kind of see some movement. Luckily, we didn't see any bear in like close distance in that occasion. We saw so many in other moments, but it was never too risky.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrifying. Like, the closest I've been to a bear was like 15 meters away.
Yeah.
With no fence. A grizzly bear. But it was a female. She was eating a fish, and it was by a lake, and we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Stay away from that fish, man. Yeah.
So it's all about sunset, and my friend decides to just lie down in the middle of the highway and rest, because like we had no other option. I didn't notice. I kept on walking, and then I turn and I see him like horizontal on the floor, and a car approaching and stopping. And they start talking, and I reach them, and he's trying to explain them like, oh, you know, we're in trouble, like we miscalculated, and like we ran out of. And it started raining. Like in the afternoon, it didn't stop raining the whole time, so we were like soaked. Like when we left, it was good, but yeah. Anyway, and they go like, what's the problem? Like, are you in danger or anything? Like, yeah, we explained it. Oh, and then they realized, oh, but. So you are hitchhikers, and then they just go, oh no, we don't pick up hitchhikers, and they leave. And I start like screaming at them, like all sort of insults, like you motherfucker, like so many nasty things.
Yeah.
And this car, like I can see that stops, reverse, and comes back. And I'm like, okay, here we die.
Yep, they got gun laws here.
And the guy like steps out of the car, and this gigantic, like 2 meters tall, middle-aged dude comes out, and it doesn't even look at us. He just goes straight to the boot and opens the back of the car and goes, he's gonna pick up like a rifle and shoot at us. Instead, he goes like,
look, it's full.
Look, it's full.
Oh wow.
Look, it's full. That's
stuff?
why I cannot. Yeah.
That's kind of scary. That was the best thing that he opened that up. Imagine you put it. Yep. Yeah.
That was what I was worried of.
Yeah, there's space now.
Look, it's full, and you're like super rude. Like, how can you like talk to me like that? And I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I started apologizing. Like, you know, like I'm crazy stressed because like I'm sort of risking my life here.
Yeah.
Like, you
we're
know,
starving. We're cold.
Yeah, we have no water, no food, bears. Like, you know, like raining. Like, it's like 100.
Have you got any human nature?
Kilometers, and they're like, this is not humane what you're doing. Like, just leaving us here when you could help us, and that's why he went like, okay, that's like the reason why I'm not helping you is because of that. And then he started like talking a lot of like, you stupid Europeans that you don't calculate the danger and whatever. And he was right. That's fair. And then, luckily, he rearranged the car and he was like, okay, I'll give you a lift. And the whole car ride, it was just like lecturing us.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep,
which okay, I'll take it like happily.
Yep. 100%.
Yes.
Just giving that blank look. Just yes. Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, let me buy you dinner, like to like say thanks. And I was, I don't give a shit about dinner. Just get out of my car as soon as we get to the border.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But that tells a lot about like at some point I was just like hating humans during that, like because you know that like no one stops in there. Like the same person would have stopped on a different route, but not there because it was close to the front to the.
Was it him just him by himself?
With his wife.
See, I don't know if I'd pick up his jogger. Do you know that? If I
And most of them, they told me that they used to hitchhike a lot in Europe when they were younger, and like.
This is why they picked you up. I swear to God, man. I would if I had my wife in the car. And how many of your mates? 1 or 2?
It's just 2 of us. Me and my
See,
friend.
like instantly, you could almost over. So the first thing that would go through my mind is I can't protect my wife against 2 men while I'm driving a car.
Yes.
That's what I'd think straight away. It would not
look
be
at
on
his face.
I know you're a good bloke, and you don't seem that threatening, but looks can be deceiving.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like I
You
don't
need to trust people.
I do. I love people. I'm a people person, but I'm so protective. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was younger, my stepfather used to work. Like he used to work away. He was an electrical engineer, one of the best, right? And he'd travel a lot, and I'd have to look after my mum and my brother and not my brother, my sister, right? Sometimes my sister. Anyways, I knew as a kid that I couldn't take on a full-grown adult, and home invasions are a big thing in Zimbabwe, right? And especially because the thing is, people when a crime happens, especially something like a home invasion, it's rarely an unknown house. There's some sort of recon done on that house.
Interesting.
Yeah, you don't just break into a random house. If you were driving, right, along there, and you might just like think like a criminal for a second, right? And you go, shit, we need to rob a house to make some money for whatever reason, right? Would it be smarter to do some reconnaissance on the house, get some information, find out who's living in their house, maybe do some rudimentary going, like we'll just do some what's it called when they stake out the house?
Yes.
Right?
Stake out.
Kind of know it. I would rather break into a house full of.
You need to know the habits. And
Yeah. Not just that. Imagine breaking into a house full of guys. You're gonna pick
the one with the old lady,
with the lady and the small son. That's what I'd do, right? So what I used to do is I used to sleep with a knife under my pillow, straight up. I don't know how I didn't stab myself.
It's really dangerous.
It's a lot of pressure to put on a kid, but I did that. I did that for my mum. I used to sleep with this because I knew I couldn't. If somebody came in, like, what am I going to do? Fight?
Is it common, like break-ins?
Massively. Back home, the crime rate in Zimbabwe, we take so many things for granted here. You wouldn't just walk to the store in the middle of the night by yourself. You wouldn't do that in Zimbabwe. Here, you got people walking around with their dog, 12 o'clock at night, doing laps around the block, walking around.
Yeah, I do that. I go on night
you don't
runs.
do that in Zimbabwe, man. You don't do that shit. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like I used to do that as a kid. Yeah, just for protection from mum. You
still sleep with knives under your pillow?
I don't do that anymore. Those days are over. In Zimbabwe, you have big fences, 2-meter high fences with barbed wire or broken glass and mortar, razor wire, right? Your windows are barred up. Most windows were barred up. And when we moved to Australia, doors are open at night. Bloody no fences. The fence, you can like literally, you can trip over the fence and not notice it was there. I couldn't sleep for the first year. Seriously.
Yeah, I can see that.
I couldn't sleep properly. I'd just be like napping off, and I'd just be going, mate, like somebody's gonna break in any moment. You guys are crazy. No, I used to sleep with my door open. Our house where I used to live, not anymore, but nothing's happened. I just stopped doing it. There's 2 guys. Like we used to live with 2 guys. Like, not we used to. It was me and one of my.
How does it work with camping? How do you like trust that nobody is gonna for you in general with that background?
Yep. Like it's fine. It's fine because I'm used to this type of lifestyle now. But in Zimbabwe, you're safe in those places because they're guarded. They're guarded all the time.
So you would not go camping like in the wild.
You can't just camp up in Zimbabwe. You can't just pitch a tent in the middle of nowhere. Like there's lions, there's huge animals, there's small snakes. Here they're like, oh, they got so many poisonous animals in Australia. Yeah, we got that too, and we got big game, elephants, hippos, buffaloes. You know what's crazy? The animals that you think are the most dangerous aren't, or the most hazardous aren't. So like buffalo are a big problem. You want to stay away from it.
I know hippos are
crazy, man. We used to go past them on a massive pontoon, and they would just go bang, bang, bang. They would start messing up the pontoon if you start going through like wherever their little territory is. If there's a few of them, they start hitting the boat. If you're in a small boat,
amazing.
You're gonna die. Yeah. It's great. Crocs. Like,
We
man,
have
it's
those
crazy.
here.
Yeah, far further north. You know what's a big problem here? I don't like the box jellyfish.
Oh yeah, I had that.
Man.
But that's only like in the north.
Yeah. Same with the crocs.
Yeah.
And stonefish.
Awesome.
Man, it's supposed like the worst pain known to man apparently if you step on those things. Nah, I'm alright. I'm take my steel toes into the beach.
Have you ever had any encounter with animals that like was unpleasant
Here?
in life?
I've had heaps in Zimbabwe. I'll give you an example of one that was pretty funny. My cousin and I were in what's called a chalet, but I think they called it a chalet in Zimbabwe. It's just basically a hotel room. But the thing is, they'll have these things that are open to the wildlife. So you get elephants coming in. Obviously, it's blocked off to a certain level, but the smaller animals can get in. Jackals, warthogs, you name it. Those little things, they'll get in, no dramas, right? So anyways, I'm sitting in upstairs with my cousin, and we just hear this rambling in the kitchen. I'm like, Auntie, what's going on? Right? It wasn't our auntie. It was a bloody warthog, mate. yeah. And I'm like, shit. And it's seen us. It startled the thing. It didn't know which way was up. This thing's smashing the place up. My cousin's freaking out, and I'm like, oh, look at this thing, mate. What's going on? Quickly.
Can you pull up a picture of that?
Of a warthog? Oh man, they're like boars. They're like tiny little boars.
I
Like
think I've
wild
never
pigs.
seen one.
You've never? Oh man, they.
Oh. Oh yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
So there was one of those in your kitchen.
Yeah. Yep.
Fascinating.
And they're little crazy things, man. Don't think they're like nice and that. They're crazy, mate. Like they'll fight for their life. Like if big games have a big game have a go at them, they'll fight. There's some beautiful wildlife. If you like animals and stuff, man, I hope it's still the same back home. I loved it. You could drive out of the city. The most famous national park was, we used to call it Wanky. Like Wanky is like the English way to say it, but it's Wange.
Okay.
It's Hwange. So we'd say Wanky, but it's pronounced Wange. Yeah. And you'd drive out of the city and you'd see. Oh, that's a paint. So look at this. See from the second row, far right, Chan.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite animals. It's a pangolin.
Pangolin, yes.
Man,
Pangolino.
they're so cool. Do you guys have them?
No,
Italy?
of course not.
Oh no, Asia has them.
Is that like an armadillo?
It's like an armadillo anteater.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yes.
And they walk on their hind legs, and mate, the way that they're so cool, bro. They're one of the cool. That's an armadillo.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So the pangolin is like an armored anteater, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're gorgeous, man. They are so cool.
Pokemon.
Yeah. What's his
I'm
name?
gonna go to the-
Sandshrew. Yeah. No drama.
I'll be back.
No drama. Copyright problems with that one. Apparently armadillos are a problem with leprosy. They carry the leprosy bacteria or virus or whatever it is. Yeah. Did you know that?
No, I had no idea about that.
Yeah. So hunters in America, they tell them to be careful hunting armadillo. How crazy is that with leprosy? Like if you had leprosy way back when, like that was a game over. They sent you to an island in some places, and it was like, mate, you just gotta basically fall apart to death.
Pretty much, because like, doesn't your skin kind of turn into that kind of texture with leprosy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It kind of just dies off. It's almost like gangrene, isn't it? In a way. Leprosy. Oh man, I love this stuff, man.
Can't get enough.
Oh,
okay,
it's gonna get gnarly soon.
Yeah.
So what does it do? Does it affect the circulation of whatever limb and or appendage? God, this is cool. And like it's mental how like modern medicine can just sort this out. Like apparently with like some, I'm guessing. Oh, it is. I think it's a bacteria. It's a bacteria, because it can be cured with antibiotics.
Really?
Yeah. So antibiotics doesn't work for viruses. I think if I'm not wrong.
Because
There we go.
antibiotics just like flush everything out of your system, and then your system just kind of rebuilds.
Yeah. So I think it doesn't. I think they don't have an effect on. We'll check it out after this. But yeah, I think they don't work well with viruses. Leprosy is caused by. Can the viewers see this?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Sick. Well, yeah, an infection by the bacterium. I'm not going to pronounce that.
Mycobacterium.
Mycobacterium leprae. It mainly affects the skin, eyes, nose, and peripheral nerves. Oh man, symptoms include light-colored or red skin patches with reduced sensation, numbness, weakness in hands and feet. Leprosy can be cured within 6 to 12 months with a multi-drug therapy. Early treatment avoids disability. Man, that's gnarly.
Are we talking about leprosy?
Yeah, because Chun brought up armadillos.
Yes.
So armadillos, I was watching a hunting show. I don't know if it's a hunting show, but I think they were gonna shoot the bloody thing, and they said, watch out for touching them. They have leprosy.
Can carry leprosy.
Yeah, can carry leprosy. Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah.
So then this guy who's holding the armadillo probably has leprosy now.
Yeah.
Same with this guy.
Yeah.
And all the other people.
Yeah, you just give like a palm 5 now. Just
Maybe
palms.
they do some leprosy tests to their armadillos.
But
Same as like koalas, they carry chlamydia, right?
I think it's chlamydia, yeah, or something like that, or syphilis, or one of those ones. Those poor buggers. Yeah.
Spreading.
Yeah, it's a big problem, man. So coupled with that, did you know that koalas are almost like they're very local animals. They have bacteria and enzymes in their stomach that breaks down the eucalyptus leaves that are local to them. So relocating a koala is almost off the cards. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought they would eat any
eucalyptus. Yeah. No, it's fully like their mother. They eat their mum's poo. Yeah, seriously, they do they eat their mum's poo to get the right type of stomach gut flora.
Yeah. Okay.
And they can break down the eucalyptus. But what I want to know is, because this happens with people as well, they do like a shit swap for you to put the right type of gut flora in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can do the part of my terminology, a shit swap. Yeah.
Shit swap. Okay.
Yeah. So they put somebody else's poo in your intestine, your intestinal tract,
to build like the gut flora.
To have the right. Yeah, because that kind of makes you question all the prebiotics that we've been eating. Does it pass how successful is it to pass our digestive tract through the mouth
Never
and
heard
the stomach?
of it.
So probiotics.
No, never heard of the.
The shit swap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So gut flora is massive. They call it like your.
I know what gut flora is.
Yeah.
I never heard of this like passing shit around.
Because what ends up happening is if people that don't have sufficient gut flora, they have a lot of problems in their life, weakness, fatigue, you name it, stomach ulcers, you name it. Yeah. It's a full-on thing. It was manned by an Australian scientist too. Yeah.
Wow.
You got to read into it. It's worth every penny you read. I've got a book called Think Like a Freak. It tackles issues, and you basically try to think like a freak. Try to think as diversely as possible, as precisely as. It's amazing. Good little book, and in that book is a small slither of knowledge on gut flora and how an Australian scientist.
Who's the? Can you look up who's the author?
Oh, it's an amazing book. An amazing book. It taught me so much.
What's the book?
It's called Think Like a Freak.
Think Like a Freak.
Mm-hmm.
What other topics does it cover? What's your favorite book?
I don't read much. I have been trying to. I wanted to pick something that was going to keep me captivated for a while, because I've lost I lost the will to read.
How come?
Because I just don't do it anymore, and it doesn't intrigue me anymore.
It's time consuming.
It is. It really is. But it's
an inefficient
way of
absorbing knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes, acquiring information.
Yes, I've been trying, and this.
And you drive a lot, so that should work.
I should do it. Yeah, this is it, man. I can lend it to you guys if you want. It's such a good book.
Think Like a Freak.
Yeah, it teaches you. It covers so many diverse topics.
Who's the writer?
Stephen D. Levitt.
Never heard of.
Sorry.
Okay.
Phone's vibrating. Yeah. Amazing book. They do a really cool. See the hot dogs? Yes. So the hot dog thing that you see there's a part in the book where it says there was a hot dog eating contest. This is how Think Like a Freak works as well, right? And it was a small guy. Usually it's like these big burly guys that you can see they look like they can actually fit all these hot dogs to enter a hot dog eating contest. But it was like some small, correct me if I'm wrong, Japanese guy. Right? Okay. And he found an efficient way to eat the hot dogs. And he smashed, so let's just say the world record was like, it's not, but let's just say 20. He done it by an astronomical percentage up. So let's just say he done it by like if it was 20, he done it like 32. He more than doubled it. But he's like a small guy.
Okay.
You would never think he could win it. And it's how he done it. He thought like a freak.
Interesting.
And
It's always about the how someone does it for me. Like,
yeah.
say for example, like you get to the top of a climb, but say for example, you can muscle your way up there,
Yep.
or someone can gracefully, efficiently move up that climb. And I think that's
man.
relevant to so many things in life, just how people do things. And it comes back to why people do things and how people do things.
For
I
sure.
think that's very important.
Why do people do things the way they do it?
They do it.
Yes.
100% right. I think I was talking about this with, I think it was either you or Dean about that. And I said it's so mesmerizing seeing like the different thought patterns people would have towards a climb and how they would
Like
do
reading
a
the
climb.
route is
Yeah.
something that is like very personal, I think.
It is. It's very personal. It's the same thing with like if you people are so they're so like not dumbfounded, but they're so. This is why I think I'm good with other people. I listen to what they say. I take into what they say, and I have a broad understanding of how people are. Because at the end of the day, when you listen to somebody talk, they're telling you exactly what they want in a way. It might not be direct, but you kind of listen to what they say, and they're projecting themselves. Anything that comes out of somebody, they're projecting their own perspective. Do you see what I mean?
Absolutely.
So if somebody's telling you like a story about something, why is the story important to this person? This part of the story seems to be a bit more highlighted. It made them feel that way. This is kind of formed their thinking. Sometimes, have you ever met somebody and for some reason you might misunderstand everything they say? You might take it as a condescending way that they talk, but they don't mean it that way. They don't mean it that way.
Sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Sometimes they do something. It's hard to decipher between the both. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you can kind of like go like, oh, okay, I mistake all the people that I've dealt with in my life that have talked that way in that specific pattern seem condescending, but this person might not mean it that way. Same thing with like
How can you tell?
it's hard. It's very hard. It's very hard. And to be fair, if you don't want to end up in a hostile situation, you have to leave it to time to decide, and then you can kind of gauge on how they react, and you can also use their tactics on them and see how they react. Because if somebody's being condescending and you use that same tone and kind of basically not same set of words because it'd be the same sentence, but like use similar lyrical sentence, right? You can kind of go, if they're offended by it, they must mean offense.
Absolutely.
Right? But anyways, we're digressing too far. What I'm trying to say is like that's how you can see. It'd be hard to translate. I would love to know personalities via climbing. That'd be cool if you're like this type of personality. I know we're categorizing again.
Yeah.
But that type of personality does this type of climb. It's almost like horoscopes. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. That reminds me of something that I do a lot with people when I don't know them and they show that they don't trust other people. I tend not to trust them.
Of course. Why is that? Because they're capable. That's normally what they do and what they're looking out for. For sure. It's also like I hate to say this to them, but like cheaters.
Yeah.
Someone that's always here's what I'm saying, like they'll go, you're cheating on me, you're not here. Everybody that's been like that towards me, in my experience, obviously some people have been hurt and it's a scar and they're susceptible to feeling that way instantly, but most of the time the people that I've dealt with, they're cheaters themselves.
Yes.
That brings me to the question, like, I always hear people say when you don't like something about someone else, that it's a part of yourself that you're not really like accepting or addressing. But that also brings me to the question, say for example, you see a sex offender, you know this guy's a sex offender.
Yes.
And you see the way he is acting towards a woman or so.
Yep.
And you know his intentions.
Yep.
So with you being observant enough to know that he's a sex offender and he's about to take advantage of a woman.
Yep.
Are you just being observant, or are you not addressing the sex offender within you? Do you understand what I'm getting at? Yeah. Because I hear a lot of people say like you're not accepting a part of yourself, or you're not addressing a part of you.
I think it'd be a capability of myself. Like to this is how I'm gonna try and address the statement. I can understand that everybody is capable of doing what he has done. He's just acted out on a thought or a whim, if such. In my perspective, if that was me and I was aware of this is how I'd play it out in my mind. I don't know if this answers your statement or not, addresses your statement. If I knew that's what he was and I was sitting there watching him carry this out, I would feel that it is within my duty and responsibility to now act. Because I'd be sitting there like, if something did happen and I didn't act, that makes me a bad person. And I don't need anybody else to tell me that. I need myself to tell me that, and that's all I need. If I was in that situation, I'd be like, shit, I should probably definitely do something, 100%. It's not even I will do something, and I don't know what I would do, Chun. To be fair, because like imagine if his intentions, you would perceive his intentions as bad, with the knowledge that you have, but he might not be doing that. He might just be having a conversation, and now it's late at the bar, and you're like, oh, what's going on here? What do I do?
There is an argument that if you're in the position to prevent something bad to happen and you don't act on it, it's as bad as...
It's as bad as carrying it out yourself. Does that answer your statement at all, Chun, or no? Not really.
I say no, because I guess what I was asking is like, if you notice that trait within
yourself,
someone else, does that mean that you're like that?
The ability to recognize and the ability to maybe inhibit, I think probably are very close. Inhabit, sorry. I think are very close. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Shit, that is super tricky. That's a really good introspective question.
I think we have everything in us.
Yes.
Everything.
It's all in our nature.
Mm-hmm.
But how we choose to act upon,
of course,
is what kind of differentiates it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Because sometimes it's hard to monitor your own thoughts, I'm guessing.
I mean, there are people who have no, sociopath and psychopath. They have no filter, and they cannot.
They don't feel empathy, compassion, and
So to them, they're not doing anything bad because they cannot relate.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, we have everything in us, but thanks to our level of empathy, mostly, we are able to switch on and off certain parts, and to also to alienate ourselves from some of these things in a way that like they become like extraneous to us, like they become like almost not part of ourselves. Like we can see that it's in there, but it feels like a foreign part of us, like doesn't belong.
I know exactly what you're trying to say. Yeah, for sure. That it's almost like saying almost all outcomes exist within ourselves, but it's like Schrodinger's cat. Am I saying that right? I'm probably not.
What's that?
Yeah,
Schrodinger's cat. Schrodinger's cat. I'm probably Schrodinger's cat.
Schrödinger.
Yeah,
I think.
That all in my mind. Well, I wouldn't say all outcomes, but a few outcomes are about to happen, but I pick one on how I act in that specific moment.
You can pick one to carry on, or you can pick one not to carry on. Like
from a myriad of ways that this situation
you can pick more than one.
Out. Yeah, it comes out to like parallel universes.
Yeah,
a world splits when you make a choice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Schrödinger's cat.
Schrödinger. The cat is both dead and alive at the same time. And until you open the box.
Yeah. Like, have you seen the string theory experiment?
No, what's that?
Sorry, not the string theory. Have you seen that one, Chun, where it's where they fire these electrodes or electrons or whatever it is, and they fire randomly. But when they're observed, they fire sequentially. Yeah, have you seen that?
Because consciousness is observing itself, and when consciousness observes itself, it acts differently.
How mental is that, but?
Yeah.
What does that even mean, bro?
It brings me to the question, does reality only exist when consciousness perceives it? Because if there's no consciousness perceiving it, what is reality and what is existing?
It's so subjective. Reality is only a matter of whatever we perceive.
But then the we is the consciousness, isn't it?
That's right.
Yes.
So then what happens when we...
It's the same concept of there's a tree that falls in the forest when nobody's around, makes a noise. Like
If no one hears it,
It does.
It does.
It does, but how do you...
But sounds itself does not exist if there is no one able to perceive sounds.
Yes. Mental, mate,
Yeah. So there might be like we have 5 senses, right? Like, I mean, we have more, but yeah, there are 5 major senses, right? Maybe there is another sense that another
I know where this is going.
form of like creature would be able to perceive,
like a sixth sense. Are you talking about? Okay.
But since there is no one able to
prove it,
like
how could you prove a fourth dimension?
Like if everyone was deaf, this would be nothing. But the noise would be there. It's just that anyone could not hear it, so it would not exist. But it does.
You might not have the organs to perceive a sixth sense. Speaking of a sixth sense, have you guys got any?
The same is for reality. I think the same applies to reality.
You reckon?
We are able to perceive reality as it is because of our consciousness. So that's the filter. As much as like our ears are the filter for noise.
Yes.
So if there is no consciousness, there is no reality the way we know it.
Yeah. That's true. Speaking of sixth sense, do you believe in ghosts? Living so close to a cemetery yourself? This would have been a nightmare for me as a kid, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, that was my one thing, ghosts. I was so afraid of ghosts, man. Was that never present for you? It's a silly fear when you think about it, but it's like...
What do you mean by ghosts, though?
Exactly.
Oh, there's more than one meaning?
Well, there's the one with like this Casper and...
if I seen that... Oh, actually, if I seen a sheet standing up, I'm like, yo... Let's go. That's equally as scary to me.
There's this Slimer.
Those ones like
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
How many ghosts can you name?
I'll tell you a story.
Is the one from Ghost, the movie?
Oh, that Patrick Swayze.
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah. There's the one with Reese with the spoon, I think. Have you seen that one? Reese with the spoon.
No.
Oh, I can't remember the name now.
There's Beetlejuice.
I think. Oh no, Reese with the spoon and Mark Ruffalo. I think it was.
Mark Ruffalo. Oh no. I don't know.
Chan, you haven't seen that one?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You guys need to get some culture, man. When I was younger, right? This is what I observed as a small kid. Okay, and my cousin was there. Hopefully, she can back me up, and hopefully they'll haunt her, not me. My grandparents had passed away. My great grandparents had passed away. We done like I got a Catholic background, so we done like this little meeting where the family got together and they started reading from the Bible. Anyways, I was a kid. I was really I think I was like 5, right? And anyways, I had no patience for it. People were really sad. I just want to get out of that whole situation. And I told you what Zimbabwe was like. High fences. There's a couple of maids. There was maids around, so maids' kids might be hanging around. Anyways, I decided to walk out of my. This was at my great grandparents' place. I decided to walk out the back door, and there was 2 young native African-looking kids, red eyes, not the iris, but just around, right? And I was like, oh, then maybe they're crying or something. I'm like, hey, how he's going? They didn't say nothing. Like, okay, maybe they're just nervous. I'm like, you do. I remember saying specifically, you don't want to go in there. It's really sad, right? And they just stared at me blankly, mate. They didn't say nothing. I'm like, this guy's rude, bro. What's wrong with you? So you're not talking to me. The dogs were going nuts, by the way, right? Now, I walk out the back door, and I was going to grab the dog because it sounds bad, but a lot of the time the dogs would just go for anybody that's a stranger. And if the dogs are going this crazy at these little kids, the good dog's going to go for the kids, right?
Yes.
And maul the kids. So I literally walk like not even 2 meters, maybe 2.5 meters. I grab the dog to rip it around the corner, right? Pulls me with it. I'm only a little kid. Pulls me with it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't say, I'm like, get ready to run, you know? But nobody was there.
Okay.
Nobody was there. There's nowhere that they could have ran to without me knowing. I walked 2 meters that way, ran 2 meters that way to grab the dog. Grabbed the dog instantly. Dog's still barking at the wall, right? I'm like, what's going on? So I'm holding the dog. I'm like, hey, relax. And I'm like, oh shit, maybe the kids are thieves, mate. That's what went through my mind. Little thieves. So I'm like, I let the dog go. The dogs run into the house. I ran around the back to look in, maybe from the front or back. Nobody was there. The land is barren and bare. So also I would have seen footsteps. There was no footsteps. They couldn't have jumped the fences. There's barbed wire. The kids, they couldn't have jumped the fence in that time. We're talking seconds here, right? I walk into the house, dog's going nuts. My cousin was with me at the time, and I told this story years later. She's like, I haven't brought up that story since we were kids, NIKEEL. And I'm like, I thought I was by myself in that story, but anyway, she was there. There was no.
Who saw the kids?
I did, and she did as well. But I didn't know for years. I hadn't spoken to my cousin about this in years. I never brought. I'd tell the story for a laugh, and people are like, "Oh, you've got any ghost stories?" Right? I'm like, I'm assuming there were ghosts.
Because if only one of you had seen them, it could have been like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're just like a little kid. You might have had too much sugar or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? It could have been a dream.
Stressful situation or whatever.
Yeah. She's seen them too, man. She's like, I haven't talked about that. Last time we hung out in Queensland, she
maybe they were aliens. They went back to the mothership.
That'd be cool. They didn't leave me any postcards or nothing, though.
I think I would believe more in aliens than ghosts. In that sense. I mean,
yeah,
ghosts, for what you're describing, in like a physical manifestation. Yeah. Like you can actually see them in human form. I'm not sure.
You think there'd be like a misty thing, or like it'd
I
be
don't
like
know.
like an invisible thing, maybe? That's the only story I've got, and I thank the Lord that, because I used to be afraid of ghosts, like we just brought up before, proper fear, man, because I couldn't rationalize it in my brain, as in the sense of like I can't defend myself against this thing.
Have you ever had a lucid dream?
What, where the ghosts are
No, like you
or I'm out of my body and out of
Yes.
yeah, I've never had an out of body dream, but I could control my dreams when I was not so much now. Yes, I could control my dreams as a young kid. As a young kid. Yeah.
And have you ever experienced sleep paralysis?
Yes.
I think I have, but I never got to. Thank God, I never got to see the entities that come from that. Yeah.
So.
But I couldn't move.
Oh,
I couldn't move.
And in my experience, I was 100% sure that I was being like possessed by some demon. Like,
God, that's scary, mate.
It was horrifying and terrifying.
Oh.
And then I woke up, and after a few hours of like decompression, I was like, oh, okay,
everything's
like
okay.
Fucking experience. It just sucks, but it's interesting, and it teaches you things about your body. And everything.
What's your take on sleep paralysis and your experiences?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom again. Sorry.
Yeah. It's strange. I had this experience where I woke up one day with a massive pain on my left ear. Like, I woke up because of the pain. Like, my left ear was hurting like crazy. I was having some sort of a lucid dream. It was more of a lucid nightmare. I can't remember what it was, but it was not pleasant, probably because of the pain. So I wake up, and my left ear is in pain. And my first reaction is to bring my left hand from like the side of my body to my ear. And my brain gives the input to my arm to do this movement, and I cannot do it because my arm is not where my brain thought it was. So I try to do this movement, and I just can't, and it felt like I was missing a limb. And then the more I wake up, the more I become aware of my body, and I realized that I was all the time while I was sleeping just like squeezing my ear and twisting like crazy, and that's why I was experiencing that pain in the dream and in the real life as well. So once I realized that, I just let go immediately, and that was super weird because like when I woke up, I was sure that my arm was like along my body, and I just tried to it was super strange. This was the second time that I had sort of a sleep paralysis episode. This was more physical and more like out of body experience. Like I was not in control of what I was doing with my arm. Super strange. Super strange. Never happened again.
Really strange.
I'm good, thanks. Did you experience sleep paralysis?
Yeah, I used to get it like every night for a good like 2 years.
That sucks.
And that was like continuous. Like,
how did you get over it?
I don't know about getting over it, but eventually I just
you still experience it every night?
I hope not.
Don't. Like really rarely. But
Yeah.
it's pretty scary. Like you hear a lot of voices and you see entities,
Yes.
and sometimes they're really close to you.
To me, it was like reality and dream were on the same plane. Like
Yes.
I was awake, but I was asleep, and I
Mhm.
could see the room I was sleeping in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
overlaid on my dream. So the creatures from my dream were in the room because my eyes were open, but I was sleeping, but I was conscious of like my surrounding. But since I was sleeping, my body was sleeping, so I could not move.
Shit. But there were 2 occasions where I left my body in that state.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how, but those 2 times when the sleep paralysis happened, I usually be quite scared. But this time I was like, all right, I've done this before. Focus on your breathing. Just keep breathing. Yeah. Like, you'll get yourself out of it eventually. And
absolutely.
Eventually I got out of my body and like I could see my room. I could see everything. But it was like, do you know Lord of the Rings when Frodo puts on the ring?
Yes.
It's all like grey and like washy and all that.
Yeah.
That. I like walked around my room. I like looked in the mirror at myself and like looked into my eyes. And it was just this like whirlpool into like this black hole. And it was like, there was so much amazing. Like, I don't know, noise everywhere. It was really interesting. And then after that, I woke up in my body.
What were the voices, Chun?
Wow.
I don't know. I couldn't really hear them like speak words or anything. There's like probably a lot of voices and they're like really loud whispers and sometimes there's screams.
Yeah.
But it's hard to really decipher like what's what.
Have you ever seen the sensory deprivation experiments? That's like the sensory deprivation tanks that I was talking to you about that I've been in. I done one, mate, when I was heaps younger. You can do it at home. All you need is some earphones. Those at home, please don't do it just while we're doing the podcast. Do it after. Get some earphones, some noise cancelling earphones, some ping pong ball that you don't like. Cut it in half, tape it over your eyes, and play white noise.
Okay.
Lay down, get yourself comfortable, get ready sit yourself in for a long haul. And the funny thing was, you're going to hallucinate eventually.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
And what ends up happening? What I got for the first time kind of scared me. I had like an audio hallucination, which made me scared, mate, to do it again.
As a kid, I was having audio hallucination all the time.
Really?
And I could trigger it, and also visual hallucination, but that was much harder.
Really?
It's actually much easier than you think to trick. I mean, to me it was when I was a kid, to trick my mind and like it doesn't need any drugs or anything. Like you just need to. It's like meditation. You need to put your mind in that status, and once you know the way to get to that point, audio like hallucinations. Is there a word for it? Anyway, like it's.
I
like
can't remember what they call.
To me, it was like if I want it, done.
Yeah.
And people would assume that you're crazy because like you're hearing voices.
Well, that's right. Well, meditation, when you do the meditation or sensory deprivation, they say like to get to that state might take you. It can take you a lifetime, or it can take you a couple of goes. Depends on your mind state. A friend of mine had tactile hallucinations. She thought we were moving the bed.
Oh wow!
We were laying down, and she started like doing that, and I'm like, "You all right, mate?"
I think I never had that. I'm not sure.
I think it was called tactile hallucinations, where she could feel things. Right? With my one
in dreams, yes, but not in. Like
but not when you're just laying on a bed and you think
I never had that.
Yeah, man. I got the screaming like Chun was describing before. I'd get this like I could hear people shouting, but I couldn't make out what they were saying, and I'm like, it really messed with me. I'm like, is my life based on violence? Is my mind ruined? Why is there shouting in my hallucinations? I'm scared to reach this place again now.
To me, I did enjoy it, and that's why I was learning how to trigger it whenever I wanted, because it was really entertaining. Like, it felt like I was tuning into radios, and could hear other people talking. And
that's kind of scary for me.
Like you know, like the night, like you go shh, and then you hear the voice when you hit the frequency.
God,
like so, imagine hearing like a bunch of those, like, and you can visually sort of see those voices, and you're gonna go like, okay, I'm gonna focus on this one because they say something
like
that's
clairvoyant, mate.
Interesting, but it all comes from your brain. But I was like getting okay. I'm interested in what this voice is saying, so I'm gonna just disregard the other and just like tune in that, and then start thinking about it because it's like a.
Could you make out the voices?
What?
Could you make out the voices? Could you hear what they were saying?
Yeah, totally.
What were they saying?
In a distinct language that you can interpret.
Yeah, absolutely.
English, Italian?
No, I was in Italian. I was a kid.
And what
I
were they
did
saying?
not
What were
speak
they
any
saying?
other languages. They were talking about all sorts of things. Sometimes were like phone calls between two people. Sometimes it was just like a monologue of somebody. Sometimes was just random words.
Talk about the weather.
Yeah, it could have been anything. And whenever I found something that I would find interesting, I would just like obnubilate the rest and focus on one. Yeah. And just pay attention. And that would be like trigger for ideas. I would start thinking, let's say something interesting, and I would keep thinking about that, and then
This is crazy.
if it became boring, I would just like reopen the whole thing and pick another
and
one.
you could you ever tune back into the voice that you had heard previously?
No, I
Or
don't think
what-
so.
It was gone.
Once it's
As
gone,
soo-
it's
as soo-
gone. And sometimes it was also hard to like leave it on. Like
This is crazy, bro. People make money off this.
I mean, how?
Have
I
you seen
doubt
that? There's something on Netflix with this, mate.
It's just like a kid having like weird
this is
sensorial
cool.
experiences. It's worthless.
No, not at all.
It's all the chemicals in the brain that just go crazy because you're young and you don't really, the more you grow. Like I have it very rarely now, only with sound,
it's like a superpower.
but not with visuals anymore. I haven't had that except if I do weed. I think I get something close to it, but it's very different. But no.
We'll ignore that voice.
Yeah.
It's
I
food.
believe there's
Get the
like-
chips.
There's like finer energies or workings that are part of this like existence or universe, and sometimes when we reach certain states, sometimes involuntarily, we can somehow tap into it momentarily.
I believe the same thing, Chan.
Could be.
Hive mind is a thing.
But who knows?
And it was always in hive mind. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
hive mind. So maybe you were tapping into the hive mind.
I
Imagine
doubt
that.
it. I doubt it. I doubt
You
it.
never know.
It's happened before many times.
Well, yeah, that's right. So there's a what's his name? Rupert Sheldrake. He talks about a thing called morphic resonance. He's got a book on it. He was on.
Can you look it up?
Yeah, it's amazing. And
Morphic
morphic
resonance.
resonance. It is a real thing.
What's
think-
that?
So it's basically
Morphic means it changes shape.
the name of formative causation. So, anyways, basically, is
Yes, absolutely. This happens. This
Yep.
has happened so many times.
So
like,
what is that? I'm not aware of.
so he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and the first time I heard about it, my mate showed me this episode. He goes, "You'd love this," and basically, it is hive mind. It's weird, and it would explain so much. Anyways, I'll give you an example. He talks about with using mice. He goes, pest control guys can agree with this. Eventually, a trap or whatever, let's just say this way to trap mice will eventually stop working. The mice just catch on to it. But the control is, it won't just be the mice here, it'll be the mice states over. So it can't be like it's passed down genetically, because that could be easily explained. It's like a hive mind. That trap will then become less and less and less, and it's like they've gotten used to, let's just say, the snapping trap. The snapping trap works 100% of the time.
Let me understand if I got it right. Like, let's say we have a trap. It's like a snap trap.
Yep.
And this trap is being only used in Sydney.
Yes.
And
it's effective all
and
the
it's
time.
effective. Like
all
the
time.
mouse just goes there, bites the cheese, and
Bang.
Bam.
Done.
Done.
Yeah.
And then the mice around like just start
Gold Coast.
understanding how the trap works, and then eventually they avoid the trap.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you take this trap.
Yeah.
And you bring it to America.
Yeah.
And the trap doesn't work.
It does work, but it doesn't work as efficiently as the next time. So let's just say it's like 90% now, and then it's 80%, and then it's like 70%, 60%. But it's like, how are these mice that aren't connected? Why isn't it as effective when it was working 100% before?
So
So
it's
it isn't
100%
effective.
here, and
Yeah.
then you bring it there, and it
Yeah.
works like 80%.
Yeah, but obviously that's a massive exaggeration of how effective it was working, but it's measurable. It's basically giving evidence.
I'd love to see some studies.
Yeah, have a look at this, man. It's amazing. Oh, there is the idea of mysterious telepathy type interconnections between organisms and collective memories within species. Yeah, bro.
So I do believe there's an information field that's always around.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And we tap into that here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes more, sometimes less.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the same concept as a like collective consciousness sort of thing.
Yeah,
Like that is
I
like
think it's like the same thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Ever made a joke before and nobody hears it, and you get one of your other idiot mates just says the exact same thing you just said, but obviously not with bad intention, going, "Oh, I heard this good joke that your mate just said. I'm gonna say it now because I recognize it's a good joke." But it happened to me on the weekend. A couple of weekends I just went 2 weekends ago. My mate made a joke. I swear on my life I didn't hear it. I made the exact same joke a second later. obviously it could be like-mindedness, but it was probably more likely that my subconscious picked up on it and I didn't.
Absolutely.
So I second Chun. I second exactly what Chun says.
Here's what happened to me. I was with my friend Carl, and we've been like working together in a film for a while.
Yeah.
And then I just start thinking about wagyu beef jerky.
Yeah.
And I was really craving it at the time. Didn't say a word or anything. And then my friend Carl's like, "Yeah, it is pretty nice. Hey," I'm like, "What's nice?" Wagyu beef jerky. I'm like, "What?"
Whoa, that's weird. Yeah.
And there's so many instances where this happened between people or groups, where it's just like perfect synchronicity. It's like, I don't know how to explain it.
That's strange. Comes to mind another anecdote. A friend of mine told me, ex of mine told me ages ago about her grandfather.
We're gonna come back to exes. Yeah, right.
Not even an ex. It's like a girl I used to date.
Yep.
About her grandfather. He was talking in his sleep.
Oh, right.
In Latin.
But he didn't speak it?
He couldn't read. This guy was like uneducated. He couldn't read. He couldn't write.
This guy's possessed, bro.
And that's what everybody thought.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're talking like grandfather, like in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
But the scientific explanation of that was it's like he must have gone to church at some point, or even like if he was not religious, like could have picked it up subconsciously and memorized the words. Not subconsciously memorized the word. It didn't know. He had no idea what the words meant, but his mind just absorbed the information, and then it was just like.
It's such a shame that like you probably just heard the scientific name to every plant and animal ever. Everything's in Latin, man. Oh,
yeah, that's true.
Oh, my days. Yeah, I can't explain that. That'd freak me out a little bit.
Yeah,
if that was me.
Sounds really weird.
What lessons can you pass on to us and our viewers about that your exes have taught you?
I don't have any exes. I technically have one that I would call an ex properly. I had a bunch of weird. It's fucked up.
That's okay. What have you learned from it?
From that one?
No, from all experiences. Some great knowledge you can pass on to everybody.
Do we have any comments? Any?
Just from Marco before saying, nice surviving story, expecting for the other story.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Marco. Please ask some other questions so I can get out of this.
That's all right. I'll absolve you.
Well, Marco asks, what are some lessons you learned from your exes?
Thanks, Marco, for this question. Okay. Give me a moment to think
Marco,
about
you got to get on this podcast soon, mate. Oh, man.
I think... Okay, there is a lesson that comes to mind that doesn't come from any individual person, but comes from the collective experience, which is, to put it in simple terms, doing the same action expecting different results.
Oh God,
that's insanity.
That's insanity. Yes.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Yes.
But we're all victim to that because it's just our thought patterns, isn't it? But it's also like they say this about picking partners. They're like, you pick your partners because of what you were exposed to as a kid. Everybody thinks like they have free choice in picking their partners. Not free, whatever it is, right?
Free will?
Yeah, free will or whatever they think they're picking their partners. But it's like, no, you're not. No. You're governed by your past. And this is why people make so many bad choices or whatever.
I used to be, I developed and I realized I was under habit of like projecting the behavior of a person that had hurt me emotionally into the next relationship.
Oh, yes. Yeah, same here.
That's really wrong. That's really bad.
At least you've recognized it, though. You've recognized it. It's not like you're blindly going into the next one not knowing.
Yeah, but whatever good was coming from that person, I was just like disregarding. And whatever bad was coming from that, I was like taking into the next. I need to... Like, somebody did that to me, I'm gonna do this to someone else. Like, that's a lot of horrible. Once I realized it like, yeah.
But you had to learn it. That's the thing. You had to like learn it. See, for me, I had a lot of lessons to learn. One was I thought we had something, and man, it was undeniable, but I think it was just admittance.
The denial.
Yeah, it was the denial of what we had.
Okay.
And there was that one, and then there was these are the ones that just didn't. There's so many that I've had that it's all of them that I've had. I've never had. Otherwise, I'd be married now. They're all unsuccessful.
I don't believe in success. Like every relationship is,
Like
if you ask me,
a lesson.
it's what you need when you need it.
It's very temporary.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way, Sean?
To a degree, yeah. Like, there's definitely lessons that come from who you choose as a partner at a certain time with what you are going through in life.
So what if you had somebody like with that statement? What if you met somebody that could you commit yourself to somebody that you met when you were 16, and they were right for you when you were 16? If they were right for you, but let's just say they were, right?
I don't think that there is an expiration date, and I don't think that. I don't buy the forever thing. So if you
why don't you buy the forever thing?
Because it's not necessarily the case that like you find a person that is just great for you right now, but in like 3 years' time, she's not gonna be the perfect person for you anymore. That doesn't take anything off whatever you had. So that relationship was just perfect, and that's the person that you needed during those 3 years. That's totally fine.
I'd love to know if my way of thinking is unrealistic, because what I would do is, if I imagined myself in that type of thing, if let's just say I did find this like life partner at 16, right, which obviously it hasn't. So let's just say it did. I would try my best to try and pursue their interests with them as they did mine, within reason. I can understand that if we'd done everything together, or if they're like, look, I have a few activities that I'd like to do by myself. I can understand that as well, right? But I think you'd be forever learning with that other person.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like if I met somebody...
How much can you learn from a single person compared to how much you can learn from like 10 different people?
For sure. In a sense, like a relationship, like a
and there is no right and wrong.
No, of course not, for sure. I would have loved to have, in a perfect world, you'd want to go, right, I would have preferred to have met somebody when I was younger. A lot of people, the argument is like, oh, but you haven't tried anybody. How do you know? But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't care. If you had a Ferrari to start off as your first car, would you want to go to a Hyundai Getz? That's how I view it. So you go like, if I met this person that had the same core values as me.
Probably,
yeah.
But I will keep the Ferrari.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's legal in some countries.
I got 2 modes of transportation. Yeah.
I would want to experience how it feels to drive like a shitty car, but I would just
The mats are great. I would like to I'd like to embark on the journey. Like I have my friends, but the thing is, obviously with friends there's more than one. Right? Like I've got plenty of my mates. There's plenty of them, and they're all like I said, you kind of did it. Anyways, I would love to have had to say, righto. If we were in this life partner thing, you kind of go on a discovery, life discovery
journey.
Yeah, both of you. You know what I mean? And it'd be no one. I shouldn't say no one better, but you're kind of going like, we're doing this together, and you have like a bond for years. Imagine that. But I don't have that, so I don't know what that feels like. I don't even know if that's real.
I guess it depends on like what you choose in yourself to be vulnerable to other people, and say like you're really selective towards this one person, like that you choose as your partner.
Yep.
But I guess it's really down to what you choose to let be vulnerable, because I feel like I've learned a lot of things from even just close friends.
Yeah.
I guess more lessons than say relationships, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's down to the individual and like what their circumstances are, what they're choosing to be vulnerable, and what they choose to share within that certain, I don't know, bond with another particular person.
That's right. Openness is a big thing, man.
Yeah.
Openness is one of the character traits. I went and done this personality test by Jordan Peterson, who I adore, right? And it's just a series of questions. So it's very rudimentary. It's almost as good as probably shouldn't say this, but it's almost as good as like one of those Facebook-based personality tests. But it did tell me a lot that is true about myself. So that's why I do recommend to do it. So one of the things like you were saying, Sean, is openness. and what you choose to share with other people. In my last relationship, God love her. She's a good person, and there'll always be a space in my heart for her. I felt like in some case that I was maybe much more open to expressing how things that happened in my past, who I am, how I think I am. You know what I mean? Why I think I do the things that I do, and I'd ask stories about childhood and things like that, and she's like, no, not much, and you'd kind of like, is that all you got to tell me? You know what I mean? There's got to be more depth to this conversation than not much. That's so like I know your statement before, Chan, was much deeper than what I just said, but I also feel is a massive thing, man. If one person's super open and the other one isn't, that's a hard egg to crack, man.
Absolutely. Personalities are complicated. Also, with personality tests, I think it's like horoscopes a little bit.
You can't be
like
defined by personality tests.
Yeah, it's a bit of a like Forer effect. Like it's
yeah.
One size fits most.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely. As soon, when I done it, it was like a multiple choice thing. It asked you like on a scale of it was one of those much to not or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like one to almost like a 1 to 5 thing. It did guess a lot of things about it says I was highly enthusiastic, which Shane likes to. Our friend Shane loves taking the piss out of me. He goes,
"You're one of the most enthusiastic people that
about anything."
Yeah. Like which is great about your personality. It's fantastic
for sure. No, I'm always keen for whatever it is. Like, yeah, let's go.
Yes.
Openness. It said I was high on openness, which is another big thing, and it also said I was low on a few things, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, it's not wrong about that. So the more honest you answer that test, obviously the more it's going to tell you.
Yeah, but if you read like the horoscope of the month for like,
it's very applicable to anybody. Yeah,
I would say 8 or 9 out of 12. If you don't read what sign that is, you will go like, yeah, that's me.
That's me.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So if they said Aquarius was like Sagittarius, that you're like, oh my days.
Just read the description without the and you go like, yes,
yeah. Oh, I got to stay away from Aries today. Yeah.
Any last words from the viewers?
Oh,
this is your last chance. Everyone who's watching.
Who is watching? How many people are watching? John? Please don't say
how many people are watching.
Don't say the number if it's less than
1.
Where does it say?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But comments, insults, questions.
No comments since Marco.
Okay. I think I'm starving.
How long have we done?
This is 2 hours 42 minutes.
That's a new record. I was hoping we went like 3, but I think it's time to get some food.
I would love to come back again.
Absolutely, I love talking to you. It's
been great.
Fantastic.
This is so fun. We can keep
the
digging
energy,
deeper.
the enthusiasm. Yes. Next time we're gonna break the 3 hours limit.
I would love to.
Absolutely.
I would love to. Corona shake.
Yes. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Good night and bye everyone. Ciao. This was very good.
That was amazing.
Yes.
Man, that was sick. God.